obviously. Thanks, Mike and Steve, for the platform. Thanks, of course, G for being the brains behind it all. And then thanks for everybody tuning in with us. Obviously, there's going to be more people, I'm sure, joining. And then last but not least, thanks for both of our speakers, Coach Griffith and Coach Nishimoto, for just taking the time to share with us. I'm going to go ahead and open with Coach Megan Griffith. A little bit about her. She is a 2007 Columbia graduate. In her playing days, she was quite the player. She was a two-time All Ivy League player, and has plenty of accolades in the record books over there. From there, she went on and played several years in Europe, and obviously, to no surprise, she had quite the career over there as well. Making her way into coaching, she spent 6 years at Princeton, 2 as the director of ops, and then 4 as an assistant coach and recruiting coordinator. And then just recently, she finished her 4th year as the head coach at Columbia. And without further ado, Coach Megan Griffith. Hopefully I didn't get anything wrong in that.
No, you did a great job, Anthony. I appreciate it, man. Well, how's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's good. Happy to do this. Really excited to do it. You know, I know a lot of you, and I'm excited to get to know the rest of you all. And I'm going to actually share my screen here and dive right in, so we can get to it. So we're talking today about competitive drills. Let me just make sure I'm all set here. Boom. Okay. So one thing here, you know, at Columbia that's really important for us is in building a program too. We were terrible when I got the job. So just to give anybody some context, I went to school here, so I can say that, and I don't really care. But you know, we were really bad. We were the worst team in the league. I'd been coaching at the best team in the league, recruiting there, developing our brand. So one thing that's really important, and Brian knows me pretty well, but you know, I'm super fiery. I coach like I played, and it was important to bring some juice, you know, to Columbia, and what, you know, the way that I remembered it, how we wanted to build the program as a staff. And so a couple of things just on our drills, and I want to show examples of drills, examples of us in practice, also some other instances, just like key pointers and like drill rules, but I'm going to go right ahead for it. Big thing for us is just making sure, like in drills like these, coach both offense and defense. Just don't have an offensive drill or a defensive drill. I think as you build your brand on both sides of the ball, it's important to really focus, you know, on both sides of the ball and have some sort of parameters to guide your team, and also having coaches that are watching certain parts. I know certain teams have defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators, so that might be one way you want to slice it, right? But usually it's, you know, I think it's important that you're coaching both sides of the ball. Embrace the chaos, you know, in competitive live drills. It's not always going to be pretty, right? Like it's not like that perfect pass all the time, and there's going to be a lot of turnovers, especially when you introduce something new. So just with, I think as a younger coach, you know, one of my first problems being a head coach was I think I got like a little too interjecting myself and, hey, we're going to do it this way. We're going to do it. No, like just let them play. Like let them play, let them figure it out. And, you know, you might find 2 weeks later, like, okay, this is exactly what we needed. Or very quickly that you want to move on, right? So I think it's important to embrace the chaos, and emphasize coaching reads and not just reps. So in these drills that we're going to show, and I'm going to focus, happy to talk about it at the end as well. I have 5 of them here, so we might not get to all of them, but I figured I'd start and we can kind of see where it takes us. First one, this is called NBA Jam. This is a drill a lot of people I'm sure have done, but we kind of made it up, the name, and added certain rules according to the game we all love and played in the arcade. So I was a big Sega Genesis fan growing up, and the big reason for this game, right, it's a 2-on-2 continuous drill. So we have a little bit of diagram over here so you can see exactly how it starts, how it's set up. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they're all on one team. The X is the defensive team. You're playing both sides of the ball, but just to distinguish it made it a lot easier this way. And you got 2 coaches in the middle of the floor. So basically, this drill, it focuses on both sides. We'll talk about offense first. It's a 2-on-2 continuous reads drill. All right, so numbers up, how to take advantage of retreating shoulders. Those are things that we like to talk about. and making quick decisions. It's like we're scoring fast. We're scoring fast. Defensively, in this drill, you transition from offense to defense. We talk about quick outlets. You get the ball as soon as there's a turnover, change of possession, a score. The ball goes immediately from the defensive team to the coach that's standing closest on their side of the basket. That coach then passes to the next coach, and then they inbound it to the other team. So the offensive team is transitioning back on defense. As long as the ball has changed possession, change teams. Duration, you can do it for time. Sometimes we'll throw 6 minutes up on the clock early in the season, let them play this out because they love this drill. And then 2, you can also score it for offense or defense. For us offensively, we usually score 2s and 3s on a foul. We give the ball back, check it up on a second foul. We give them a point, and we keep moving, going the other way. If we're scoring for defense, our defensive scoring system for every drill we do, if we're focusing on that for the day, it's usually +1 for deflections, 2 for clean steals, 3 for charges, and we say 5 for turkeys, which I'll get to. But turkeys are 3 stops in a row. Anytime your team gets 3 stops in a row. So that's kind of like the golden ticket. And then rotation, you go offense, defense, and then you're back in your line that you started in, where your team is. The next 2 have to be ready to hop on. One caveat is, you notice where I drew the line of the coach passes to start the drill, and then as it continues, they have to catch behind the hash marks. So for them, like if they start creeping and like they're like, oh, we got a 2-on-1, like coach will throw it right to that hash mark, and they got to go chase the ball down. So it's also teaching them a little bit of discipline, also understanding catch the ball in motion. We talk a lot about that, and making sure you're on the move. So we'll jump to it, and happy to answer questions. I think after is how we're doing it, but here we are in practice. Some cool wrinkles to this. This is, I know, who worked here before. They gave me a little shit. They called this the dungeon. I'm just giving you flack. Anyways, so here's us in practice. You can see we got darks. They're starting on offense. And we got our baby blue jerseys here on D. The wrinkle too, like I said, is if somebody's on fire, so as in the game, everybody remembers that term, right? Like that means that like you can shoot it from anywhere. So typically what we say is like after your 3rd made basket, you're on fire. So after 2, we say you're heating up, just like the game, right? So typically on any score, their only rule is that they have to touch the paint. Ball, pass, dribble, doesn't matter. It just has to touch the paint before they can score. So if you're on fire, you can literally shoot this thing at any time. So sometimes we dictate that before, and sometimes we just, during the drill, we let it naturally evolve. So number 10 right here, you're going to see we were playing scout team. I don't know who we were playing, like Harvard maybe that week. And, some kid that can pull it from deep on their team. So right away, our team has to know, like, who are the shooters? Who are the shooters? Do I need to recover the paint? Do I need to recover the bodies? So as you see this thing play out, she knows she's on fire, and she's like, all right, you're not playing me. I'm letting this thing rip. She missed the first coach. She should have passed it to our male assistant coach there. Paint touch. Okay, and then they keep it moving here. Okay, offensive rebound, play out. They score that. They don't have to take it out of bounds. Just as quickly as possible, get that to the coach. So it's pretty quick moving drill. You can play this with like 6 players on each team. That really gives them a workout, and you can keep it moving, and you can play with up to, our roster this year was 13. We were pretty small, but I think this is a drill that's pretty intense and it gets them really going. And so that's NBA Jam. That is that drill. Happy to take questions, like I said, later. But it's one of the ones that I think they get really excited about. We have something at practice where if we call a drill out and they have to echo it, and then they're like, all joking about it and competing, and they're talking about their teams. And we typically give teams at the start of practice, so that once they're in blue for the whole practice. Next drill we're going to talk about, it's called 8-6-4 transition. So you can see the setup over here on the side. Now this drill it's a little bit more defensively focused, but the why we do it for offense is we play versus a scrambling defensive team with a short clock, right? So we want to make sure that they're thinking attack mode. What are great shots for us? And that's going to be different for each team, right? I don't take early in the clock. We don't take mid-range shots. That's just not what we emphasize at Columbia. So we want great threes, in-out threes, or paint scores. So we want to rack it. Defensively, the team, it's making sure that they can have transition reads, they can communicate, they're working as a group, and it's based on, personnel and what your principles are. So that's a lot how we talk about it defensively. You can see the setup over here. Coach will start with the ball. We've got the offensive players on the perimeter here, where we usually space them out so that 2 and 3, they're like actually up here closer to half court. And then we got the 5 starting at the free throw line, 1 and the other wing free throw line extended at least. So that way there's some like momentum and they're attacking. They're not catching a standpoint and pivoting and looking for an option. So we're always trying to put offense in motion. So what happens is basically on the slap of the ball, coach, they have 8 seconds at first where the defensive team all has to start inside 3, as you guys can see while the X's are. It's a 5-on-5 drill. So they have to sprint and touch the opposite baseline. When that 8 seconds is up, coach lobs the ball into one of the offensive players, and then they have the rest of the shot clock to score, right, or get a stop. So if you get it in 8 seconds, you move down to 6, right? So when 6 seconds is on the clock, they have to run. They all start again. We reset if they get a stop. We only move to 6 if they get a stop. So when we reset, they all start inside 3-point line again. Coach slaps the ball. They run and touch the opposite free throw line. Same thing goes. Once 6 seconds up, okay, shot clock's now, I'm sorry, originally we started at 20, so when 8 is off, they got 12 to play. Then we take 2 off. So now we're 18. 6 goes by, they still got 12 to play. Then we move it down to 14, sometimes 12, depending on how fast you want to play and have them make decisions. So if they get 6 seconds, if they get to stop there, right? Great, boom, that's 2 stops in a row. Okay, we're trying to get a turkey, right? So again, that's 3 successful stops in a row for us. Let's say they get that second stop. Now we're down to 4. So for us and with women too, I think it could be different for men. You guys could have them touch half court if you want. You can have them touch, what we say is we have the 10-foot volleyball line here on the court. So somewhere between the hash and half court, that's where they have to touch. They got to touch that 10-foot line. Okay, and now they're back in play with 4 seconds. So now everything's just sped up, and we're sort of building up towards these different situations with different shot clocks. Rotation, basically, the goal is to get a turkey, right? Does this happen often? Depends on how good your team is in transition. I think, for us, we've seen certain teams and certain lineups. We all have certain lineups that are better in drills like these. Seeing success early, and if they don't get it, sometimes I just reset. So we get 8, we get 6, they don't get a stop on 6, boom, we reset and we're back to 8, and we'll give them a certain number of tries and then we'll just flip it offense to defense. When they get the turkey, it's a pretty big moment because this is a tough drill. This is definitely a conditioner. It's one that if you play fast and you want to simulate also being good in transition moments on both sides of the ball, I think this is a good one for your team. So here we are. We got some of our scout guys out here. So they're communicating. I turned the volume off so you guys weren't getting frustrated with that. Okay, but we didn't build to the ball side. So that's one of our first principles in transition defense. Identify the ball, and then load or build to the ball side. We didn't do that very well there. Okay, you see our point guard, we're smart, trying to anticipate the pass. We do a decent job, but we still get a middle drive, which that's not something we want in our offense. Okay, defense doesn't fan out. We call fanning out on the drive. Sorry, just stop that there. So fanning out would be, in this instance, number 10, her name's Andrea. Lillian doesn't need help. Like this, he's not in the paint. He hasn't made an aggressive move to the basket to score. We don't need her hanging around. What's she going to do at that point? So we say at this point, if you're contained one-on-one wherever you are on the court and you're not allowing paint, this kid here needs to be fanning out to her defender. So she puts this kid in a really tough position, right? So now we should be Xing out on the backside. They're not communicating. So as this drill goes on, again, this is not a good example of how we want to be defending in transition. Okay. Our point guard hits a nice shot. So now we're going to see us be successful at this drill. So you saw 2 instances where this didn't play out in our favor. Okay. But here you can see hands high, retreating. They're talking. We make them take a tough shot. Not the prettiest. We secure the rebound. Okay. Now we're moving on. So you can see the clock changed already. We're at 6 seconds. They're touching the opposite free throw line. Again, hands high. She's probably our best consummate defender. Her name's Lil. She's just super smart. She can defend in and out, but she's always out in front, leading, kind of setting the example for us. So you can see how it just rubs off on her teammates. Okay, we build to ball. This is a really good example of us building to ball and not running to players, right? We always, like, I know as coaches, we're like, don't run to your player. Like, once the ball gets established, we have to make sure, whatever your terminology is, right? We call our rim defender. So this kid, number 10, he should be running this way, right? Especially because this ball ain't changing sides that quick. So we call this person our mid, and that stands for most important dude. So she needs to be, and people call that rail, whatever people call that, help, low help. But you can see decent closeout. We force tough decision. We've got good help. We're there on the catch. Okay, and we can lock that up. So now I got 16 seconds on the clock. Like I said, you can make this tailored to however you guys want to play, how fast you want them to play. So now we got 4. We're going to the 10-foot line. So you can see we all, like, again, not the best closeout, but like we're there, we're built up. So now we have help. She doesn't have anywhere to go. We do a pretty good job at arriving on the catch. Make somebody take a tough contested shot in a low clock, not a high percentage shot. Okay, we wrap this thing up. We got our turkey. Okay, so 864, it's one we put in this year. I really like it. I think it helps them understand too, like, as pressure builds, games get tighter, clocks get lower, end of game situations. I think this all applies and really gives them structure. Offensively, you can do whatever you want. I think that's the cool thing. If you want, set an early ball screen. If you're really focusing on playing a big, you make sure, like, get the ball inside. Like, that should be their first instinct and look. If you got teams aggressive off the bounce, that should be something you should be telling your team. But another one I really like, gets them fired up. Circle smash. I'm sorry if I'm going fast here. Feel free, anybody, to slow me down. Circle smash. This one's one we made this up, actually. I think my assistant, when he went over, he was in Spain watching a couple players, and he kind of picked the idea up. But we call smashing in our team, it's trapping, right? So we wanted to develop. I think having a language for your team is really important, so that your players, like, we name something, like, everything is named something on our team, and it might not be like the most common name, and sometimes it is like the obvious common name. But when we smash in a lot of different scenarios. We run and jump and smash. We smash ball screens. We smash baseline drives. I'm sure you guys all have some principle. Like, we even smash post entry passes, right? So that's just doubling down on the post. So there's a lot of different ways, and we thought this drill was a really good way for us to just understand the concept of closing off of a trap, how you want that to look, which pass we're okay with, and what is the next most important pass we need to take away, right? Close off all the exits. So you can see in the diagram here, okay, these are just, the X's are on one side, the numbers on the other. Coach starts in the middle with the ball. It's a 4-on-4 drill. Okay, so you can see it's every other player or every other team, right? So X1 number, X2 number, right? You can see that they can line up however they want. So basically what happens in this drill, and why we like it for our offense, is it helps them make reads under pressure. They work on pivoting, and not just using a dribble to escape a situation when they're under pressure. Okay, and then also just using different kind of passes that you guys practice and preach in your offense. Get them to think defensively. We talk a lot about moving on airtime, right? Like, good defenders are there in the catch. Good defenders are great anticipators. They don't waste movements. They don't run to people. They go to where they should be. You know, and then we call thieving what we do off the ball. So people call them safeties, people call them roamers, whatever your terminology is, we say smash and thieve. Okay, so our thieves, they're the ones that are trying to clean up, right? So after we smash, like our goal is one of two things, right? We get a deflection or a steal, or we make the team throw the ball up in the air, right? That way we can thieve, we can get under it, we can play out, and we can make a play on that pass. All right, duration, we usually put time up on the clock here, you know, or we say, hey, we're playing to 10 today, right? So back to my defensive scoring system, that's typically what we use in this drill, right? So ones are deflections, twos are clean steals, threes are charges, which that's very rare in this drill, so you're not going to use that. And then if you get 3 in a row, you get a turkey. Coaches, whoever's in the middle, coach gets to decide who he's passing to, who she's passing to. Usually we alternate teams. We just mix it up. It's super random. And also teams are subbing. Like it's up to the team to decide how they sub. And they can sub whenever we have a reset. Other thing too is a wrinkle to this drill is if you want to work on transition situations, numbers up, numbers down reads, you can make this a full court drill. So pick a hoop for your team, right? So X's, we're going far end. Okay. All right. All numbers, we're heading this way. Okay. So on that steal, right, they get to play it out and we're transitioning now. And now we'll just play it and to the whistle, right? So again, it's totally up to how you want to make this drill better. So seeing it out live, this is another fun drill. They really enjoy it. It gets them going, gets them fired up. You can see they're all pretty excited about it. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. So one of the goals with this is that you can see in this first pass, okay, not a great pass, right? What's important, another thing I forgot to say, is the players shouldn't be moving more than one step off their initial spot. So the whole part of this is like they can't just throw the ball and you go run 10 feet the other way, right? Then we're defeating the purpose of the drill. So this, again, is all about pivoting, making the right pass, delivering a pass on time, on target to your teammate. So right here, this would be a negative point because she moved her teammate off. She's chasing down a pass. Okay, so we're already like -1. We're talking to our table. She recovers. Okay, we reset because we already screwed up the drill. Anytime you get 3 successful passes, clean passes, we move on. So there's no points deducted. Defense doesn't get any points. So we're resetting here. Okay, deflection, there's +1. Okay, we got a clean pass. 3 clean passes, we're resetting. You can see they're subbing on their own. Got our scout guys back in here a little bit. Okay, there's a deflection. Okay, and then we get 3 clean passes out of it. I think that time it was 2 by accident. Okay, and then this last one, we do a really good job. Okay, Hannah in the gold shirt and Marcus, our scout guy, do a great job at making, and this is one of our better players, like she's under pressure, she doesn't know what to do, can't get rid of it. We end up getting a steal here, and that'd be +2. And now we can play if we wanted to out of this drill. We typically do it for time or a point total. So totally up to you how you want to use it, and talking about the things that are important to you. You know, in this drill, you know, if we look back here, we tell our thieves, and this is a concept we talk about a lot and early when we start practicing with the group, is that their first job once the ball is decided is 1, we got to move on to airtime, and 2, we're taking a step towards the next closest pass, right? So we want to put our bodies in a spot where we are taking and able to make a play on this pass or this pass. So the direct line pass here is the one that should be 1, it's furthest away, and 2, that's the one that the trap should be negating. So we try to make them understand that if we don't have a good trap, this is the easiest pass to make, right? Just boom, right across side. And it's not cross court. This is a smaller space. So if you want to work on throwing longer passes, just space them out. You know, that's what I would say, is move the circle back. But this is another one that gets us going, gets us pretty fired up. one I like a lot. I think I have time to show like at least one or two more. I don't know. You tell me, Steve, how I am on time.
Coach, you have plenty of time. Can I
Yeah.
can I ask a question though?
For
And
sure.
this goes for everybody. If you guys have questions, just because of the drills, I think they're really good drills. You know, just kind of when she's done, go ahead and ask your question. With the 8-6-4 transition,
Mhm.
um, do you ever put rules to where they can't sprint back to their same matchup, or do you do it, you know, so it's 4-on-4, so you have to cover more ground, or like how have you kind of altered it in that sense?
Yeah, great question. So I would say, yeah, we do a lot of those drills, like our transition defense ones, especially that we're focusing on, where they can't match up with their matchup. Now, the beauty about this one, Anthony, that I think already fixes that problem is the kid you're standing in front of, like that might not be the kid that gets down the court quickest. So usually it's just they have to communicate on the fly because if they just run to their matchup, they're going to be screwed, right?
Right.
Like, because let's say the slow kid is guarding the fast kid on the team and that ball gets swung to her, then we're going to be in a scramble anyways, right? So I'd say that it kind of fixes itself, and you'll see that the kids that get up and down are able to change directions quickly. Usually your horses, right? They're the kids that are always first loading up to the ball or picking up the ball. The last person on the court, you know, it's usually going to be our post players, right? Depending on who you are and what your personnel is like, you know, they're the ones that are kind of filling in, and they're getting into that, like I said, rail or mid position that we call our help, some sort of help position. Now the 4-on-4 wrinkle, we haven't done that yet, but I like that idea a lot. Just like you said, to work more rotations, covering more ground, more communication. So I think that's something you like totally could build into it for sure.
Yeah, and then for the time, do you dictate where they touch, right? So if we, you know, I mean, I don't know if I'm sure you can do this, but say we want our ones, twos, and threes, they're going the whole length, and then the other group, you know, they're going to the six, the volleyball hash mark. You can, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter how you do it, right? Because at the end of the day, they're just trying to communicate and load to the ball.
Yeah, like I would say, like whatever. If that's what, if you think you need to give the like your other kids like a little bit of an advantage, like I would say fix it that way, right? Like here, like you know, what's one drill we do, like like one of our main conditioning drills that it's just like in practice every day. We call them 11s. It's like everybody on our team needs to get down and back in 11 seconds. That's just like if you can't do that, you can't play for me, right? So like that's why we don't make that rule for like, oh, the post can touch here, the guards can touch here. So it's like everybody needs to be getting on their horse. Everybody needs to understand the value of competing to win that sprint. So like it's just kind of taking that, right, and putting it in this drill, shrinking the court a little bit. But for sure, like I get it. There's outliers sometimes too, like where that would apply for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Matt, you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, Megan, on this circle smash right here,
Mhm.
you know, I could see how their defense would obviously you want to be an aggressive and how do you call the fouls in this?
Yeah, that's good. I would say so. This is like I think it depends on like where your team's at, right? Like sometimes we're like, all right, you're calling your fouls, offense calls your fouls. Usually though, like we're all there with the whistle, and so the other assistants and myself. So one assistant's in the middle, I'm over here, one's here, and then one's here. So usually we're spaced out in a way that we can call the fouls. We let them play. Like this one, we want to, but also because we do this in games, they need to understand how not to foul, right? So their hands should be high. They should be closing off. They should be doing most of the work with their feet, right? So like that's just something we constantly remind them is like if you're all over each other, unless you're going for the ball, you know, like yeah, we want to call that because if that puts us in foul trouble in the game, that's my fault, right? So yeah, I would say have your assistants making sure they're calling realistic ones.
Got you.
Hey, Megan.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned that you guys do this in a game. So what kind of defense does this simulate? Like
Yeah.
a okay.
So yeah, we run and jump,
Okay.
and right. So like that's one trapping scenario. We trap ball screens. So that's another trapping scenario. We trap baseline drives, and we also double down on the post. So
Okay.
like we don't do those all the time, right? Like so it's just our team needs to know what's plan A, what's plan B. Plan A coverages, we're smashing ball screens, we're in our run and jump, and we always smash baseline drives. So that's just something. But we might go to plan B because someone's killing us. Their point guard's slicing up our traps, right, in ball screen coverage. So we might go to an over and drop then, and that's plan B, but we're still in run and jump. So there's some element to when we play that we're trapping, like
Okay.
whether it's in the full court or in the half court.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff, Steve. Are we?
No, this is good. Now, you mentioned, I had a question. Sorry, Anthony and Matt. You mentioned scoring and what's the, I guess, how do you score it in a sense, and what's the punishment?
Yeah. Good question. Good question. Yeah. So we, for us, when we score our drills, like I said, usually it's like, sometimes we score both sides of the ball, right? In these drills, like we'll score, if we're playing this out, we're going to reward 2s and 3s if they actually score offensively. In this specific drill, though, if we don't play it out, it's only the defensive scores, right? So every drill we do, there's a winner and a loser. Like that's just, to me, like it's important for them to understand the value of that. So sometimes during, whether it's late in the season or early, it depends on how much we're running or whatever their punishment is for the day. But often, we play like series out. So if there's 5 competitive drills we're doing in a day, it's like best of 5, right? So whoever loses for the day, they might have 11s at the end of the day. They might have push-ups on the side after every drill. We do like military style push-ups. So they're like up, down, ups, 1. And they have to do it in sync together. So it's not always like a lot or just a running thing. It's more like something that reinforces what your culture is, right? And for us, our culture is, it's over here on my side: energy, discipline, grit, and excellence. Edge is what we talk about, having an edge and leading with your edge, right? So we try to do things that tie back to that and reward that. And that's what, like, these gold shirts that you see in like our practice drills, they say edge on the front. So those are like our edge practice players of the week, games, things like that. So we quantify what these things mean to us. And usually that's how we kind of like sync the punishment or whatever you want to say up with these drills, winners and losers. I know we're all also leery of like saying punishments these days, right? So that's another thing where like, I would just say like, choose your language wisely. Like my staff, even in a retreat, was like, we shouldn't call suicides anymore. And I was like, that's a great point, right? So like, I call them lifesavers now, right? So I totally flipped it. I'm like, all right, you guys get a chance to get better. We're doing lifesavers, get on the line, and they're like, coach, shut up. Like, like you're crazy. But it also like, it eases the tension of doing what the drill is, and they still do it, right? So I think like we all got to be creative as we continue to have like punishments or like repercussions. I think it's just, again, I would do something that reinforces your culture. So great question, Steve.
Now, Megan, all these competitive drills that you have, how do you wrap the kids back? And I say kids, your players back, because I'm over here coaching these girls, and all of a sudden they want to play the drill they want to win. They're playing, they're not playing the drill anymore. They're playing the game and trying to win points. But how do you refocus your team to keep them, on the task and what you're trying to teach them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, like it's do it often and talk about it too, right? Like it shouldn't just be something you do once in a while. Or it's like the end of practice, we like reward them with playing, right? Because then I think it loses the focus of that and what you're trying to accomplish. So like that's where like early, when I said it's okay with like let it be messy and let them have fun. Like that's part of it. Is like as coaches, we always want to have control. And as players, all you want to do is play. Like we all know that. I was a player. You guys all played. Like it's the truth, right? So when you try to wrap it back in, I would just say have things like sprinkle these throughout your practice, right? So like it can translate into a live segment. So like to me, the most important thing about this drill is it really helps us focus on those 2 things, right? Are smashing our traps and then moving like as that's developing, taking that step towards the ball, moving on airtime, getting your hands up, like, and rewarding those things. So I think if that matters to you, like you should be talking about it after games too. Like they need to know why we're doing this, because that, especially on the women's side, is something that they ask a lot of questions about. I do have a couple more drills. I mean, I don't want to take any more time, but I can tell if anybody wants, I have 3 drills that I can pick one of them. One's a rebounding drill. One is like just more of like, it's a concept that you can play in the full court. It's about playing fast. And it's a fun game. And then I have another one that's more of a half court, like kind of shellish drill. So I don't know if anybody wants me to touch on any of those.
We have time, Coach. So you can kind of go and I'll give you a heads up when we can start to slow it down a little bit and as we transition. But shoot,
Okay.
we can show them all. I'd rather do that.
All right, cool. I'll keep it rolling. Feel free to stop me whenever, please. Okay, so this one, 3-team rebounding. I actually got this from James Jones at Yale. I saw one of his, like, I don't know, Coach's Insider things, his videos, and I know him being in the league. His brother coached at Columbia for a while, now at BU, and super intense men. They're awesome dudes. James has a great program, and they're known for their rebounding. So basically, it's 3 teams. So you divide your team up in any way that you want. Like I said, this year we only had 13 players on our team. It ended up being 11 by the end of the year just because of injuries. We all go through that. But I would say, like, you really want about 4 people on a team, like, if possible. Like, I mean, 5s work too. It's just then you can change the drill a little. So basically, this drill, again, you can see the reason that I think this drill is so effective and why it creates a lot of energy in your gym is because you're all standing in a very small space, right? Like, and now there's the whole gym around you. I mean, like, we have 3 courts across the way. Like, it's a big space that we're in every day, but it really, like, brings you back into, like, some sort of an intimate, intense environment, which I think is important. Like, we don't always get those, and sometimes our players shy away from those moments. So one team, our lettered team over here, let's just say how we do it at Columbia is we break them up by class. So, like, there's always that class that there's like 1 or 2 kids, right? So you just group them in with another class. That's, for us, that was our junior class, or our senior class this year, I'm sorry. So we had 1 senior. So we just kind of threw in with the juniors, right? So we have, our rookies were over here, junior and our senior and juniors were over here, the numbers, and then our X's, those were the middle class, right? So however you want to do it is break them up, and I think it's cool too because it creates synergy amongst them. So if you need to do it for certain players on your team, I think put them on the same team. If you want people to go to head to head, don't put them on the same team. So our coaches are kind of out here outside the boxes. We got 2 down here, 1 ball. We got 2 out here about elbow extended or free throw line extended, elbow extended. So basically what happens is, like, I usually start with the ball, and I'm down here every time. We all know where we go. 3 players from each team, or 1 player from each team, starts in the paint. So players don't shoot unless they're trying to score. So we start the drill every time on a missed shot, right? I know we all don't want our players to practice missing shots. So whenever we do that, our coaches are always the ones doing it. So a shot goes up, okay, and basically they're battling. These 3 kids are all battling in here. Like, it's like a scrum. It's like what they're trying to accomplish is get the offensive rebound and put back, right? So again, it creates a lot of, like, energy. These people all here, right? If the ball bounces near them, they just have to tap it back into play. So they get creative. Of course, at times they're, like, trying to get it to their teammate, right? Things like that. But, for offense, I think for us, it teaches quick physical finishes. So again, back to a language thing. I don't know if anybody's an Australian hoops fan, but they call the restricted area the smile, right? Okay, so that's a big term in Australia. So for us at Columbia, we've also added a term to that, and we call the area that you want your post to essentially win the chin, right? So we got the smile and we got the chin. So, like, we're always saying, like, we want to win the chin. Defensively, okay, this is about being physical, without fouling. Now, are they going to foul? They're totally going to foul. Like, that's kind of part of the drill, but it's like, be smart. We call fouls, but it's also just like how to maneuver. I think a lot of this has to do with not just being physical, but also footwork. So both sides. Duration of this game, right? First team to 3 wins. In each game we play. So 1 game is until that team gets 4 points. So let's say there's 4 players in a team. As soon as a teammate scores, immediately one of your teammates is flying in. And the drill doesn't stop. Like, it's just like, they just keep going. They keep battling unless the ball, like, bounces somewhere off the court. Then one of the coaches tracks it down, and then we start passing it to each other, and then we put up a shot again. Kind of just talked about the rotation, and the teams determine their order. So this is a big popular one for us. We did it. I remember my first year we did it. It was last year, not this past season, the season before. and it got like pretty intense. Like we had to stop it sometimes. I think like I had to throw the play out of practice one time, but it like got them going, right? Like to me, I want to coach a team that you got to like pull it back a little bit more than like have to infuse it and inject it right all the time. But this one for sure, it's one we do earlier in practice because we don't want any injuries either. We don't want people doing things dumb late in practice when they're tired. So we get them warmed up, and these are one of the first ones we kind of get to. So we got our scout team's involved a little bit again. You can see our coaches are on the outside here. Oh, whoops. My PowerPoint skills are slacking. Sorry, guys. So I think our freshmen win this one. So that's one of our freshmen. She scores. Her teammate, boom, she's right on. Okay, so they're pivoting. They can't dribble. That's another thing. I'm sorry I didn't say that. They cannot dribble wherever they get the ball. Ball goes off the floor. I chase it down. Good. They can tap it back in. Okay. Again, she can't dribble. So she's right now working her footwork. Okay. Really nice finish there. Tough contested finish. Okay. Great quick score. Not the best shot, but she sticks with it. Okay, and you can see just like the emotion of the team. Like if I had the volume on, like they're like, yelling, screaming. Like it's a fun game. Like this is one of my favorite drills, but you have to be wise of when you use it. But yeah, so I think too they take pride in the classes a lot. We like doing that because it's like one time where they can like really come together. You're not always going to have a super talented freshman class or junior class or whatever. We were lucky that our freshmen this year and our sophomores who were freshmen, obviously the year before, that's our most talented bunch right there, right? Like they're our horses, they're the kids. So like those classes go at it and they go at it hard. So after a game, so 4 points, that's 1 win for this team. So they have to get 3 wins. So what I would do is put the time up on the clock too, because sometimes this drill can take a little bit longer. So use your jurisdiction as a coach. Then they rotate where their team starts. So the freshmen would move over here, okay? Juniors, and then the seniors would go over here, right? So however you dictate your teams, just have them move clockwise. Any questions on this one? All right. Good stuff. Okay, V drill. So we don't stunt. We don't call it stunting in our team, but what we do on middle drives is we call it a V motion. So it is like a stunt. It's just like a stunt. Again, this is a language thing, but we want them to think that they're Ving with their hands and their feet. So they're almost creating that shape of a V, right? So a V would be if I'm 1 pass away, we play in gap, right? We don't play in denial. So we're 1 pass away, we're active, we're loaded up, and when we V, we reach out with the inside hand and we're recovering back to our player we're guarding, especially if that ball is going right back. So again, only on middle drives are we stunting or Ving. We call it V drill, obviously, because that's what we call it. But it's a 3-on-3 drill, okay, that becomes live when the ball gets swung to the top of the key. So you can really put whatever your principles are in this. Like if you don't stun, if you're working on denial, whatever it is, the most important thing is to make sure that you reward whatever you're working on. So like the one thing for us is deflections. That's a huge one, right? Like we talk about deflections all the time. We chart them. We have a deflection winner of the day. Every day I text the team after practice, Katie won deflections today. She wins every day. I feel like this kid, but so basically in this drill, we're emphasizing getting their hands up, being active defenders, putting teammates and offensive players under duress. So why we do it, like I said, it's live reads versus stunting or a V defense. Okay, again, we only do Vs on middle drives. Okay, defensively, it's practicing just one-on-one principles and also like 1 pass away and whatever your help defender, whatever you're telling them to do, right? So we talk a lot about like being a head turner. So whomever's not just 1 pass away, even 1 pass away, like you're checking, ball, man. Like we talk all the time about that concept. Everybody says head on a swivel. I'm sure you all have different terms. We got head turner just from like soccer, essentially, right? Like that's what they talk about soccer as being a head turner. We do this for sometimes time. Like, so it's like, all right, you got 2 minutes on defense, 2.5 minutes. Again, depending on the time of the year, it's really up to you. Or you could say, all right, you're going to go 5 times on defense, and then we're going to switch it. Rotation, again, we're rotating towards the top of the key. So defensively and offensively, our 3s would rotate off, our 2s would go to where 3 was, our 1s, and then we just jump on next. So we're kind of rotating in that circle. Coach starts with the ball, or even the other team. You can just inbound it to your teammate if you want, if that's whatever's easiest. I think that's totally up to you. And it's immediately live. So the defense is trying to force them, okay, right, to put the ball down and get rid of it. That's like the whole point. The defense doesn't want them to give them an advantage anyway. And if anybody remembers what I said, like, we don't want middle drives. We don't want paint touches, right? That's what we want to get on offense. We want to protect on defense, okay? We call the paint the kill zone. So right here, right away, as this person catches, the defender's got to be honest. They can't just play the drill. So that's like one wrinkle we like to throw in with a lot of these drills is like, don't just do the drill to do the drill. Like, we're actually playing basketball. We're trying to teach you how to make these reads. So as the ball gets swung around the horn, you can see here as we go to the actual drill what that looks like. We do a pretty good job here. Just we got to get our hand up, contest that shot a little bit earlier, force a tough shot. That's kind of the bread and butter of that kid, though. So again, we got to know personnel. We do a good job here containing. It's just that defensively, we got to make sure we keep people in front. Okay, I get really excited in this drill. Okay, because Lil, again, if you guys remember, she's our best defender, right? She just does a really good job at she's 5'11", this kid, but she's got 6'3" arms, right? So she does a great job at just making sure that she's making, 1, the pass difficult, and 2, she's going after the ball, right? I think that's one of the hard things is, like, you're not just playing your player, you're playing to make plays. Okay, this is a great situation. This is what we call a peel in our team. So it's just a quick switch, okay, closest person versus rotating the help all the way over, right? This kid can get there quicker and call peel, and then we just switch this, okay? So she gets beat because she tries to go for the steal. We peel, tough shot. Okay, and this last one is just, again, like I said, the drill is live, completely live as soon as the ball gets inbounded. So if your kids start cheating and they're trying to play that next pass to get a deflection, boom, baseline drive. You don't have that rim protector or the help on the backside because of where the offense is situated. So this is the V drill.
Is the offense that doesn't have the off the ball, are they stationary or are they able to cut, move, or do anything?
So that's totally up to you. So like how we do this drill is that they can move, but they really can't cut. We don't let them cut in this drill so that we're actually getting to work on the V. But I like that. I mean, like, that's something, like I said, this is like kind of shellish, right? So I would just say if that's something you guys are struggling with because you're too focused on the ball and not being a good head turner, I would throw that wrinkle in there for sure. I like that.
Coach, we always try to force baseline. I didn't notice, but when you first throw in the ball, are they squared?
So so they should be, right? So on that last clip, right? And you probably saw, like, she wasn't, like, she was trying to entice the pass to go so she could get a deflection of her teammate.
Okay.
We force baseline too. So we what we say is, like, no paint touches, right? So that's big for us. Now we need to get a lot better at it, but we got some years to teach these young kids. So they're supposed to, we always say toe to toe on closeouts. So that's a big thing for us, is like, we don't want to give an advantage, especially like in these at the top of the key or in the slots. That's a big one where you're toe to toe. You're not encouraging or discouraging one way or another, unless we like know, okay, this kid, we all have scouts, right? Like, we all scout, we know other kids. All right, this kid's a lefty, she only goes left. Okay, then we might give a little bit of an advantage the other way. But when the ball's established on a wing, again, like you guys said, we want them to go baseline so we can smash that drive.
Yeah, and if the first pass, if the defense does a good job and cuts the ball handler off, say at the U, we're just playing, right? So probably there's a fill behind, just pitch it back, and now basically it's the same thing.
Exactly, yeah. So like the kid that would be over here, she would probably just fill this, right? And now we're just playing 3-on-3. And again, we're trying to help them understand. We're trying to keep it kind of like 3/4 of the court or 2/3 of the court, so they're not just like playing on the backside, right? Because there are no other players over there. So yeah, I would just say that's if there was a cut, just have your team do what's natural and what your rules are too.
Yep, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions out there? There's got to be some. Steve, I know you got a question.
I do, but I want to let everybody else try to ask. Man, I always monopolize questions. And
Jesse, you got
Go on, Anthony.
Yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
Coach, for all your drills and circle smash in particular, well, to back up, I'm not sure if you guys have the cylinder rule, but do you teach and apply the cylinder rule in all your trapping schemes?
So are you saying, so what do you mean by the cylinder rule? Just so I know what you're talking about.
You can't be all the way like you guys. I see in the smash rule, you guys are all really tight in your traps and in the cylinder, which can be a foul.
Gotcha. Sorry. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. So yeah, no, I mean, we don't, I think to me, this is like the thing, like you guys know what your refs call, right? And I think we all know what like the hot topics are that year. So to me, it's just, and what we want our team to understand and why we want to be more aggressive defensively is because we, like my team and a lot of these drills, they lead to us being able to play fast, right? So for us, we need to be better at creating more turnovers defensively. So that's why we try to speed teams up, and we need to get better at pressing, trapping, things like that. So we want to set the tone. Like to go back to what my main point is, if we're teaching them not to be as aggressive and then the other team sets the tone, then we always get into foul trouble, right? So for me, I think our way of thinking about it is, to help them understand what's a foul and what's not a foul. But again, if we set the tone and we're aggressive, usually refs ride that out in our favor, right? Versus being a little bit more passive, a little more conservative, and then later in the game, you're going to get called when you want to be more aggressive, when you need the ball, et cetera, et cetera. So in terms of the cylinder rule, like we don't really talk about it like that. We just make sure that they're not like reaching, putting their hands on people. That's the one thing, especially in traps, that people always get called for, is if you put your hand on the ball handler, right? So it's like, we all know the hot stove rule, like, and when that came into play, it was like, I probably would foul out of every game now because I was a physical defender. But, we always say, get your hands up, show your hands. That's the big thing. And usually you'll get it right with anything, any other contact. Even like the refs will say that. Like the number one thing we look for is like, do you put your hand on the ball handler, right? Are you impeding their progress with your hands or your arms? But if you show your hands, for the most part, I think that's a good way to address that rule.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Megan, do you kind of offset this and go to the other side as well so they can work on their left-hand drive, or is this just something?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, we do both sides of the court. So it's totally based on like what we're feeling that day. How many times did we go right? All right, we did right yesterday. Let's go left side. Yeah. So we totally mix it up, Steve. All right, I got one more, I think, if you guys want me to show it. I love this one. Okay, we call it shot clock. So I don't have a diagram for this one because it's an up and down drill, but I have some footage of it. So basically, this drill is it's first team to 100 points. Okay, so I'm just going to say that to preface it. It's a 5-on-5 drill. We play it live off a tip. You can start it however you want. Basically, it's their goal is to get to 100 points as quickly as possible, and understanding like what great shots and shot selection is and what's important to your team and your program. Okay, so offensively, like I said, play as quickly as possible and understand that. Defensively, okay, this is where you get to really harp on your defensive transition principles, like, and help them understand that if a team is rewarded, and I'll tell you the scoring system in a second. If a team is rewarded for scoring as early as possible in a shot clock, transition defense is the most important thing. Stopping the ball, building to the ball. Okay, we have different terms again, like we call chipping away at runners, especially post runners or rim runners. We also talk about plugging. If you're in the trail position, your person rebound to outlet it, she's just jogging down the court. Like, what are you doing? Get down the court, help us out, plug the middle. And we try to keep the ball on one side of the floor. We all know conversely as offense, right? We're trying to change sides of the floor and get to the paint and rack that thing, right? Get to the free throw line. So again, it's like a quick thinking drill. It's helping them understand, like, if we want to be good at playing fast and we want to increase our points per possession, we have to be good in transition moments. So I think this is what this drill really teaches and focuses on. Again, it's first to 100 points, and the way the scoring works, okay, is basically whenever you score, so just, use your regular shot clock. We're at 30 seconds. So whenever you score, you get what's left on the clock. Right? So like you score 28 seconds, you get 28 points, right? I only let them sub on dead balls because they're going. Like, this is not a drill we stop very often. But if you need to get kids in, or somebody gets hurt, or anything like that, we only sub on dead balls. And then the cool drill that you can play either with this or in a very different version is, we call it Milkman, right? So the total opposite, you are trying to play out scenarios. You're teaching your team how to hold on to a lead, right? So you get the points that were taken off the shot clock. So sometimes we play, like, Brian, Cornell well. Like, they're not a high scoring team, but like more recently, that's something that's changed. But like, for them, like, they want to run their sets. Like, Dana loves to run her sets, and she's very good at it. And so, like, for us, like, we're playing Cornell, it's Milkman versus shot clock, because we want to play two totally different games, right? So now you're teaching them how to play in that system, to understand what one team's trying to accomplish, what the other team, what you need to take away, and how you need to be playing. One thing for us, like, we need to get better at understanding, time and score situations, and we emphasize a lot of 2-for-1s. That's the main situation we work on at Columbia for our program. But anyways, I think you guys get the idea. I'll let you see it play out. Both teams are playing shot clock in this, okay? So one of our scout team, one of the guys, give him a little slack. He was a football player, and he was a good football player, not a good basketball player, not as good, just athletic. Okay, so not the best possession, but here we set an early step up. We get a great look. The defense is in a scrambling situation. Okay, we should have stepped to the ball. We get a pretty decent look, but we get an O board. Great. That ball should have went up by the kid that got the kick out. But still, we're going to get another good look, okay? So we would have gotten 16 points if that went in. Okay, great kick ahead. One of our assistants makes a nice read. Okay, and Scout turns it over. Okay, again, just miscommunication, not being on the same page. So I sub our point guard out because she didn't shoot that 3. So for us, that, like, we talk about, if we want to play fast, we've got to make sure when we get offensive rebounds, we're either racking it right away or we're getting a 3 up. So again, we set another step up, another good look, play off a bad closeout. Boom, we get 19 points. Okay, so we pick up decent early, but we're like loaded up. This is a good look of what our transition defense should resemble. Okay, we're talking. Okay, they get a good look here. Okay, but not the best shot. Boom, okay, we're gone. Okay, we have a run out. This is like, those are like your money possessions. All right, we got 27 points. So 19 plus 27, right? We're 40s or 50 or 46. Okay. Coach Angele nails a deep 3 in our face, played at Maryland. Just trying to show off a little bit. Final Four coach over here, or Final Four player. But that's the drill. So we ended up winning this one against Scout. But you can see, like, this is a fun game. It lets them play a little bit. Again, you've got to be okay. If you want to play fast, you've got to be okay with turnovers, especially with young players. So this also teaches them, like, how to play fast, how to deal with making fast and quick decisions. And then, like, I think the game just naturally slows down for them. Our turnovers, we got better as the year went on for sure. But our conference was really good this year. So we thought we were really prepared in non-conference. We thought our non-conference was very good. We got to conference, and this is the strongest our conference has ever been. So, I think I'm excited to see when we ever get playing again how this all translates for us. But that was the last one I wanted to share with you guys.
I like that one a lot. Do you give rules to your offense? Like, you have to have a paint touch or a ball reversal, or do you just allow them to take shots, or do you sub accordingly? If they take a bad shot at 28, a contested 3 from deep, do you just, blow it dead or sub out, or how do you kind of go about managing good shots, great shots, bad shots?
Yeah. So, for us, it's a great question. So like you saw the one where our player passed up, I subbed her out that very next play, like on the fly. So like that's an instance where we would do that conversely if they took a bad shot. So yeah, we would do that with our players. And sometimes if like it's early in the season and they don't know, we'll like let them play. And then at the timeout, we usually play this game like best of 3. So we'll play 3 games of shot clock, right? So like that really gets them going. Now we don't have to do conditioning at the end of practice, but usually then we'll let them talk. We come over just like it would be a timeout, a media or full. Hey, you realize that wasn't a good shot. Yeah, that may have went in, but like we're not rewarding that. Okay, next time you're coming out, right? So depending on what you're teaching and at what point in the season, I would say just again use your discretion there. But yeah, and then what was the other part of that question? I'm sorry, I just blanked on that.
I have no idea.
Oh, offensive rules. Yeah, so we talk a lot about early ball screens, right? So if we don't have primary, what are we doing? How do we still keep playing fast when you don't have primary, right? So we set drags and step ups. So for us, I think we set 2 ball screens on this end because the defense was essentially loaded up. There was a dead ball situation. So that's when we would get to, that's what we're looking. We're in our MIDI package. Like that's what we call them. So we're in our MIDI package, boom. And now they know how are we still playing fast, right? And then we're not giving them a secondary offense because if we get to secondary, now we're a little bit of trouble, right? Now, if this is a tight game, let's say it's 90 to 95 and we have the ball, that's when they should like take a great shot. So if there's nothing early, there's nothing in that ball screen action, okay, we can get into secondary. So like they should know, are we in 5? Are we in dive? What are we in right now? Are we in pinch offense? And then they can wind the clock down a little bit and get a great shot because they know they only need to get 5 points to win, right? So I think that's the cool part about this game is that it does teach them game management, especially in tight scenarios.
And Megan, do you find running all these competitive drills sporadically throughout practice, or do you find it running? I know you mentioned the rebounding drill at the beginning of practice, get it rolling, but do you sometimes run some of these drills at the end of practice to kind of pick them up a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is one that we play a lot at the end of practice. Like instead of like if you don't want to just put 5 minutes on the clock and play, this is a great drill to get like conditioning, get them to play, simulate the things that you want them to focus on without a lot of stoppages, right? Because we can't stop this game. Like this is a game where we want them to just make mistakes and play through them and find out how to be successful. So we usually use this one at the end. V drill, it depends on what part of shell you're building on. Like that's one I think you can throw in whenever because it's not like up and down. It's not putting a lot on their bodies. NBA Jam, that usually is like our first sort of like transition full court drill because it's a 2-on-2 drill. There is a little bit of on and off. They're not just going, right? So again, to save their legs a little bit and give them a little bit of break, that's a good warm up drill into a full court drill. And then the 8-6-4, I think like we don't use that one. We probably use that like at least twice a week, depending on who we're preparing for and what we're focusing on. So that's a good one too. If you don't want to like just go up and down, you want to control it a little bit more. We use that one a lot with scouts when we get heavier into scouting.
Anybody else have any questions out there?
Yeah, I'll ask one. Do you ever, I know you said you don't take quick transition shots, mid-range twos. Do you decentivize that by any chance? Do you give them like 1 point if they make that as opposed to, or I know we've had to do that. We have shot selection issues, but like if you make a 3 off the dribble, it's only worth 2 points instead of 3, or an assisted 3 is worth 4 points instead of 3. Have you done any of that to kind of encourage shot selection?
Yeah, Adam, that's actually something we've talked like extensively about, especially we did a huge like analytics study of our team. We had this like, analytics team that was working for us this year. It was awesome. And like we talked so much about like quality shots and we ranked like shots by like one, like pretty much a 0 to a 5. So a 5 would be an uncontested like dunk or layup, right? A 0 would be a live ball turnover, right? And then there's everything between. So like a mid-range pull-up was like a 2, I think. Like, and then a contested mid-range pull-up was like a 1, right? So basically we played around with that idea a lot. We haven't quite like rewarded, with certain drills, for instance, we'll say, yeah, like if you do this kind of like the turkey rule, we'll give them the extra bonus points. Yep. but more so we try to point it out. But again, we haven't done that as sort of decentivizing shots with like subtracting points or giving them less. But we've talked a lot about it this postseason. It's something we wanted to do this year. So yeah, that's a great point. I love that.
Anybody else?
And I'm happy, like, by no means, like, I love these drills, but I think everybody can use them, twist them, shake them up, however, I think that's the cool things about it. Like, we all borrow from each other, and I'm all about sharing, and I'm happy to talk with anybody if there are questions or people want to, hey, coach, what about this? Like, you think about this. Like, Adam, that's great. I think, I love, talking hoops. So I'd love to, if anybody wants to talk, I'll send my information out.
Yeah, Coach, are you going to be able to stick around for our next speaker?
Yeah, I'll be able to stick around till like 7:30. But so let me know Eastern. Let me know. I mean, if it goes beyond that, I'm gonna have to jump off. I have a recruiting call later tonight. But gotta keep getting kids, But I'll be on at least till then.
Yeah, if you can just drop, however we can get in contact with you in the chat, I think that'd be great. And if you're still on, once we get to the questions part after Kyle goes, I'm sure we could ask you then. But if not, I just think the chat would be good.
Good stuff. Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Okay, Matt, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you.
Before I get started, Fafa, you see you had a question?
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great. Coach Griffin, I just had a question in regards to your player development. So I've heard that in the Princeton University, they usually their player development, they wouldn't do anything they would do wouldn't do in a game, say like fantasy crossovers and all that. So for your player development, for your individual workouts, would you ever just do anything outside the box, or you always stick to the basics in your individual workouts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Is that Mitch that said that, or is that Carla? I'm just kidding. I know those guys really well. For player development, I think number one, it's my favorite part of my job. I mean, I love practice. I love team stuff, but like, I love getting on the court. I mean, every day I'm in sneakers and shorts. You guys probably saw in the videos. I don't know if you noticed, I'm also very short, so you might have missed me. But every day, I mean, I'm on the court demonstrating, playing. And to me, I think the game needs to be fun for them. I think the way the game has shifted is very different than when I played, and a lot of you guys, I'm sure you can say the same. And so what I would say to that, Fafa, is like we have foundations, right? I think foundations are so important. To me, footwork is the number one thing that everybody should start with. You always start at your base. I don't care what you're working on. So we always have a foundation of how we teach a skill, but each player's journey is going to be different, right? So like number 35 on our team, Abby Shu, I don't know if anybody knows her. She's also Chinese American. She's from Florida, and this kid's just like, she's a stud. She's a total stud. Like she got a lot of stuff she needs to work on, but she's like, I mean, she can shoot hard and step back threes. Like, and so like, we don't play where like we put kids in a box and say, you're going to run this action, go set this screen, go do this. Like the reason we want to play fast is to let them create. And, for us, the big thing is like, if they have it in their skill set and we bring them along the right way and we kind of teach them and show them and groom them and keep them confident, like you got to be okay with letting kids do their thing. Right. Like, so I would just say like each individual's got their own journey, and that's how we treat player development. We do group things, but that's more, again, like foundational things. And again, like I love individual workouts and skill progression. It's just, I think, again, it's the most important thing we do.
Also, sorry, another question. So you said you like to play, very, very fast. It's like, a lot of pro teams do it as well. And some teams, they have, like an offensive rebound, crash a glass after you miss, maybe they're after a transition, after, a set play. Even maybe, for example, pass it out for a three, pass it out for, a set play. Do you guys have any offensive rebound rules as soon as you crash a glass?
Yeah, good question. So we kind of stole this from our Australian friends too. We call it, it's called over there tagging up. I'm sure some of you have heard of this term, but so we send 4 and 5 to the glass. Like sometimes all 5 we're crashing. We just say crash 5 or crash 4, but tagging up is the concept where, like you create this scrum, and the whole idea is that as soon as you do that, right, like if you don't get the ball, but you're trying to get a piece of it and tip it out and get it to a teammate, like, you know, we're trying to get, you know, whether it's 1 touch, 0 or 2 touch or 0 touch rebounds, you know, that we can secure. We put a premium on offensive boards, and we were very good at it this year. We just need to convert them a little bit better. So we talk about it a lot. We reward it in practice, offensive rebounding. You know, that's why we do that 1 drill, 3 team, and amongst some other ones. But for us, you know, like we say on offensive rebounds, the very first thing you're trying to do is like put it back, right? Like if you can get it back to the basket and like your and ones, we want and ones and trips to the free throw line. If you don't have that, you are finding a teammate at 3. And so everybody that's on the perimeter, like if we crash and didn't get it, like we're spotting up, we're making ourselves available so that there's windows for teammates to find. And then we don't run anything on offensive rebounds unless we're playing a low clock or late game situation. Like we're playing. So like we're trying to score and get the next greatest shot, keep teams in scramble mode. So that's why we talk about tagging up, sending 4 or 5 to the glass. And I think it's been great. Like it's something we toyed around with a lot, and I love it, and we're going to keep with it.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Coach A, for the opportunity.
If there's no more questions, we'll move on to our next speaker. I'm excited to hear from him. You know, as I learned more about him, it was pretty apparent that he was a self-starter who definitely, you know, started at the ground floor and put the work in. He spent time with the Thunder, the Golden State Warriors. More recently, he was a video coordinator for the Reno Bighorns, and now currently still the VC and an assistant coach for the Stockton Kings. So without further ado, Kyle Nishimoto.
Yeah, thanks, coaches, and thanks, Coach Griffith. That was awesome. I have a whole booklet I've been writing down, so that's why I wanted you to keep on going. I'm writing all that stuff down. Yeah, thank you again for inviting me to speak, and hopefully I don't bore y'all, but I got a whole lot of video I'm going to throw at you, and then a little PowerPoint, and mine looks nothing as nice as Coach Griffith's, so bear with me on that one too. So here we go. All right, so I'm just going to go through some. I know we talked about offensive concepts. That's what I'm supposed to talk about. I'm probably going to go more toward just some offensive sets that we run in the league that I've noticed over my 4 years, and some ATOs that I've seen that have yielded great results or an open shot. And my first 2 years in Reno, our head coach was Derek Martin, great player out of UCLA, played in the league for a while, journeyman. But he knew his X's and O's like crazy. And, you know, I credit a lot of what I know offensively to him, because I got to watch him for 2 years go at it. And so I'm just going to show you kind of what ATOs we used those first 2 years in Reno. And this past year, I think we were always, all 4 years I was involved with this organization, we were no lower than top 12 in scoring, which is above half the league. And then this past year we were 3rd, I believe, in the league, so at 120 points per game. So here we go. Just some weak side island stuff. D-Mart was big on utilizing and putting guys in an island if you're weak defensively, and he was really, really going to exploit you defensively. So although this is on the weak side, and this guy would probably be in the 2-9 position, which is right by the smile or the happy face, we noticed that as the game was going on, this is the 4th quarter, we realized that guy was probably the weakest link, and coming out of the timeout, we wanted to attack him early, knowing that they were really clogging us up with Anthony Bennett on the strong side. So we put him on the strong side here. Marcus Williams, great player out of UConn, and crazy player, and has great vision, but he's really, really smart with his eyes. And I learned that through talking to him, you know, my 3 or 4 years with him, and he was always going to bait you with his eyes no matter what. And so here it is now. This play would not work as well as it was drawn up if Marcus Williams didn't use his vision to keep his man engaged. He is staring at that man the entire way, and that's what got Matt Jones out of Duke completely wide open. Same idea now with the strong side. So same idea. We're coming out of a timeout. We're going to put this guy on an island on the same side. Crisscross our bigs coming up. We know the big down is going to be in a low plug. Marcus is going to look at that corner early to freeze him early. And that's what's going to, as soon as it's frozen, as soon as he comes off, he's going to freeze his man in the corner, which is going to allow Matt to cut. And then as soon as he takes his eye off that corner guy, he's going to look at the help, at the big and the low plug, and that corner guy on the opposite side, so he can't help. And all Matt needs in this corner is just a little bit of separation, and Marcus is going to find him. So that's something that we did a lot, just to kind of put guys on an island and make them play some one-on-one defense and really keep their awareness up. Here's some ATOs. So here's a BOB ATO that we used for a duck in for our inbounder. Something that we found late clock too. We ran this a couple times in late clock as well. Matt goes through last guy in a stack option. And we've got Jakar Sampson coming through the middle in his sweet spot. We practice every day, right in the middle, in a one-on-one opportunity. DHO step up. A lot of teams running their half court offense as well. We're going to take a look at this help man here, the ball man. We know that he's going under, right? The whole first, this is our second mandatory timeout, I believe, in the first quarter. We know he's going under every single time, so we're going to hit him with a twist. So a twist is our rescreen. So as soon as we see him go under, Will's going to come back and get him again, because you can't go under twice in the pros especially. You can't go under twice or they'll shoot that. Typically in this spot, most teams will trap after that second screen. If it's any rescreen opportunity, they're going to trap. In this instance, they do. Ideally, we would like Aaron Harrison to come up and get this pass for the hockey assist, right, from the pick and roll. But Marcus is such a crazy point guard that he threaded the needle and found him on the roll. But essentially, we would really want Aaron to come up here and catch this pass here for the better angle for the hockey assist. Something that keeps the defense as well very spread out. We have our corners filled, right? We would typically like these guys in the corner, the deep corner, keep all that stuff filled to keep that paint nice and unclogged. L screen away. So this L screen is a side ball screen and a step up at the same time. Point guard has the opportunity to go either way. He goes off that side pick and roll. And we know that the big is going to either low plug or hedge off that ball. If we get good contact on that screen, Yorgos Papianis gets good contact. His man is still attached to the ball, the 5-man here, and we've got a shooter coming off. Shooter, because it's a shooter, that man cannot go under, or that's a flare 3 for him. So he has to go over top, and because there's no help on that 5-man, he's wide open where you can go inside and take that. Again, I'm going super fast, so hopefully if I'm going too fast, let me know, I can stop. And we got another double drag DHO. This one we ran really poorly as a setup right to start. We really should be in our spots. That's on Kalen Lucas, our point guard. And our pace here is really bad. Cody's got to sprint to that deep corner. Reggie's got to get to that deep corner and keep those two guys in that double drag spot there. So we got to make sure we are in our spots. Marcus Williams did this early in that season a couple of years ago, and we kind of played with it. So usually a double drag, you're coming off it off the dribble, trying to get downhill, draw a defender. And this one, he used a pressure release to hit the 5. Our 5-man would then take a dribble in, and our first screener, who would we usually put a guard there. First screener will come off the handoff and going downhill. As soon as Matt gets here, as soon as he gets here, that ball's got to be grasped, and it's got to be in his hand, ready to go up on the same hand, same foot. He obviously doesn't, takes an extra bounce, and it doesn't work out as well. But he had the opportunity, and that play actually worked out really well for us throughout the season. Double Avery angle, right? So this Avery angle is this downhill screen, not in a step up, but more at an angle. DL, the 5-man's going to find the point guard. Winyon's going to sit back knowing they're going to switch, and is going to come get him. So at the Avery angle is going to allow our point guard to go with pace downhill. All we need is a little bit of miscommunication on that first one, and we've got a wide open man. Again, We would still like Reggie to come down, because if Reggie comes down, that would allow this man from tagging so high. And we would also like Troy Williams to go down, because that puts Robert Heyer out of his lap, out of Cody's lap, and out of that driving angle. Nonetheless, we still get an open opportunity here, which really could have been a kick out for a 3. I'm not going to show that result because he missed the dunk. But double loop floppy, same idea of a zipper screen, but we're going to double, and it's a deception play for our pick the picking point shooting guard right here, Reggie Hearn. He comes off because they're both shooters coming off. We've got 2 shooters in the game. All we need is a little bit of a hesitation from Reggie's man to step up on that first zipper screen. And we have a nice easy curl at the elbow for Reggie. This is the one that DMart ran a lot for our post, to get our bigs in the post in an ISO situation. It's a double rip screen for the big. And we really want that. We really want our guy to go baseline so he can drop step in. If we go over the top, it's going to be more of an ISO situation. So the big will probably fight him to push him over the top on defense, like in this situation. They bump him there. Now, as we see, most teams are going to double. They're either Peyton, we call Peyton, where they'll come from the bottom side, or they'll come from the top side to double. Either way, they're going to double most likely in this post. Us we noticed that, and we know that, so we put him in the same play, and we had Cody come to screen his own man, because when teams want to switch, there's going to be a man wide open, and when they double, there's going to be someone wide open. The easiest way to get him out is to screen your own man. So Cody screened his own man. Matt was able to cut right behind him for that bucket. Same idea. We disguised it a little bit differently, but same result. Want him to go baseline so we can then drop step and score. Iverson get. This is another one where it kind of irritates me a lot, because our pace is bad and our spacing is really bad to start. We should all be going at the same time. So this should be a double Iverson screen over the top. Josh Hagan should be getting out of there. Matt should be setting this first Iverson screen for Josh Hagan's. Nonetheless, he sets a screen on him. All he needs is a little bit of daylight here for Will Davis to set this pin down for Aaron. And we like coming off any type of ball screen or any type of screening action with an empty corner, because there's no bottom side help. So as soon as you come here, all Aaron's got to do is engage the 5-man X5. X5 is going to either have to come up and pick him up where he can dump down or lob it to the top. Or if 5-man wants to keep on retreating and keep on dropping, he's going to have a nice little floater in the inside. L flare, that same L thing, L formation. Again, our timing was bad here. End result was still fine. We use the step up here. We know that they're pulling over. A lot of teams will like to pull over. If they're getting beat on the ball side, they're going to pull their guys over that pack line, essentially. So we pull them over as well, and we burn them with that flare, because we know they're going to pull over and they're going to try and cheat the ball side. We hit them with the flare, and that's an open 3. Peel option. Peel has become very popular now. Some people call it a ghost screen. We call it a peel in Sacramento. We're going to overload that side. This play is for Aaron Harrison. First thing with the peel, you've got to make sure it's a ghost screen, so he's going to run out, pretend he's going to screen and pop. But the biggest thing that a lot of players do is they don't get in the line of vision of that defender. If you're not going to be in the line of vision of this defender, he's not going to change his angle of his feet, and he's not going to react to this ghost screen. So it's a dummy screen. So in reality, we would like Reggie to probably come up all the way up here and then peel off to make his man change his angle. And maybe that leads to a drive for Marcus. Maybe he'll open up the door for him for a drive. Nonetheless, it's a rip through baseline. We know they're going to help baseline. We have our 5-man sticking up top because we know the 5-man is naturally going to go to the rim. No matter what, anytime there's a drive, the 5-man is naturally going to go attack the rim to go rebound. So we're going to go set a pin down. He's going to go find Aaron's man and set a little flare on the backside. Reggie makes a tough shot, but he had him wide open in the corner. That's who it was intended for. Step rip get. There's that step up. We know they're switching. We know they're switching. We get a good hit by Jack Cooley here, causes an indecision. And so all he's going to do is going to go get somebody else. He's the hitman in this play. The hitman's going to, if he's in his uncomfortable position where he's not as versatile and not as a threat, not as big of a threat out here, he's going to go find a shooter. So he's here, doesn't stop, going to go find a shooter, continuously get him open. Kind of like Golden State. Golden State's going to use a hitman to continuously find their shooters. We're going to change sides of the floor here with the swing flex logo. We like putting our point guard in this logo area because this logo area allows them to be more in control, where they can get a logo screen or they can find the open man, open cutters, and they're able to make that pass. So we have him here setting this logo screen again. Because it's a logo screen and it's that low, when we emphasize it being very, very low in this logo area, Michael Jordan area, there's no bottom side help. Marcus takes a little jumper. Same idea now. Now we're going to find a open three on a pin down from Reggie here. That causes his man to jump. Jack Cooley's wide open right at the smile, and that's an easy putback. So if I'm the G League is a lot different than college. I've actually never coached in college. I never played in college. I don't know anything about the college game as much as probably most of these college coaches do. NBA game is a little bit different, and so sometimes less is more. And this play right here, delay action, something that a lot of teams run. Milwaukee runs it a lot. Almost every team in the NBA runs some sort of delay action where they hit the trail big, and usually it's a pin down from both sides for each guard, just to give them space. This would be someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo, or someone that can take their man, their 5-man. Which if you have a versatile big up here, you could even put your 4-man up here that can take him one-on-one. Justin Jackson goes through. We now have the same action of a DHO on an empty corner. Now this empty corner, we're gonna pitch and pick. So instead of just a DHO where he runs through, Scal is gonna pitch it and pick his man here. And instead of doing that traditional pick and roll, taking a reverse pivot, he's going to Amari roll. So Amari rolls, you keep your same momentum, right? So he's going to pitch and continue to run, because as long as he gets a hit on this pitch, the X5 is going to have to do something. X5 is either going to have to come up and stop the ball, or he's going to have to be in a low plug and stop him toward the basket. Either way, his man decides late, because there's no backside help on that empty corner pick and roll. He really had a lob, but either way, we got a layup. We scored. Here's another way that we attacked a mismatch in this thumb action. Thumb action is something that Portland Trailblazers run a lot of, and Terry Stotts. And we're going to attack this matchup, Dusty Hannes and Terrence Sullivan. Reggie should be getting out of there. Reggie didn't get out of there, but Reggie should be getting out of there. And we're going to put him right in the block. And we're going to attack that mismatch. Same idea. Thumb keep. Same scenario. Pin down to a flip back. Right into an on-ball screen. Because of it, I'm trying to get this thing out of the way. There we go. So because we get a good hit here, BA is looking at the secondary defender, but knowing that that tertiary defender is really one that it's going to be dictated on where he's going to pass, because it's a high pick and roll. We come off. He's looking. He sees his man tagging up on that pack line. BA makes a good read, kicks him in the corner. Here's a stampede action or a catch and go action where if we have someone that's really quick, or someone that's not a very good defender on one-on-one, we're gonna exploit them in a one-on-one situation. Same option as a thumb, pitch back. We got this flare. He could really curl in a regular thumb series. He's gonna curl as the first option no matter what, which he really should anyway. Either way, Tyrell Corbin has one job. His job is to attack Troy Williams' man right here and get him to stunt. That stunt is going to cause a two-way stunt, which will allow him, give him that lane to drive. Tyrell Corbin comes off. All he needs is this stunt right here. Boom. Now it allows a two-way stunt. Look at his feet. Defender's feet is now on a two-way stunt. We call it a two-way stunt because we play a different type of defense in Stockton. We call it the hexagon defense, which is a hole nother topic, and I can talk for hours on that as well. But again, two-way stunt. Troy Williams got a straight line drive to the basket. Thumb twist, same idea. If someone wants to go under, we're going to bury him and hit the twist action and go back to it again to a rescreen. Same idea. Attack that big.
Coach.
Weak. Yep.
Yeah, Coach Kyle. I just have a question. Like, for those sets that you guys are calling, whether it be transition or going into the half court, the plays that you guys will be. Are you calling the play? Are you guys calling the plays, or this is a read? Like, say, for example, the double drag you mentioned a while ago. Double drag, and you go through the double drag screen, and the guy pops up. Is that just by read and recognition, or it's a set play called by the coach?
That's a good question. My first 2 years in Reno with D-Mart as a player as a former player, very old school. He didn't have. Let me say it a different way. Our Stockton team had options and call outs for every play and option that we wanted. So if we wanted a thumb stampede, we would call it thumb stampede. It wouldn't be a read. We would kind of tell the players what they wanted, what we wanted as a coaching staff. Whereas in my first 2 years at Reno, we would call, in that situation, we would just call thumb, but we would practice just thumb for a elongated point of time in practice. We would say we're playing 5-on-5 and all you can play is thumb, add a thumb. So then you have to learn how to read and react and make those, learn how to read the defenses in that way. And that's what I think D-Mar did really well with. And it was harder to scout because you didn't know what was coming. I think there's advantages and disadvantages to both. And in the last 2 years, we're calling everything out. My first 2 years, we're calling out just a basic set. Like we'll call out just pistol. I mean, there's many options at a pistol that you could really do. We played just pistol, but at practice, we were playing 5-on-5 with straight pistol to 11 for 3 games straight. You know what I mean? At practice. So They really have to learn to read their defender. And we don't, because they get so robotic in that way, if you call out all the options out early, it's easier to scout. And players get so robotic that it's, they feel like they can't backdoor. They feel like they can't, do certain things because they want to stay within the offense, but allowing them to have more of a free range and learn. But it does take a higher level of IQ for sure to do that, to accomplish that. Good question.
So it's like you guys run a bunch of series, like based on the hand signal, like say thumb.
Correct.
Or like say pinky or
correct.
Whatever.
I mean, our first option is always to run. I think that we're trying to score as many points as possible. G League is very different, not too many defensive based, but transition is probably 75% of the game. 25% is probably half court offense. 25.1%, and then 0.9% is ATOs. But yeah, essentially we're calling out. For us in Stockton, we're calling out the options. So we're calling out thumb keep, thumb stampede, thumb rub, the exact option we want in the half court. Whereas my first 2 years, we were calling out just the series name itself because we didn't have options that were defined. We wanted them to read the defense and make the best decision.
So for your Stockton team, the focal point of your scoring is more on the transition or more on
100%.
Oh, okay.
Definitely transition. Transition is a huge piece of G League. Yeah, transition for sure.
Thank you, Coach. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Again with Week, same idea here. Week is a point guard. Draymond is the point guard in this situation. This play is ran by San Antonio and brought over by Steve Kerr with Golden State, and some other teams will run it as well. Point guard hits the wing. Wing hits the trailing 5-man, 5 back to the 1, and it's a flex screen and a pin down at the same time. Sometimes this man will actually be the 5-man, and this will be the 4 if they want this post up or a screen. In this situation, they put 2 guards down here. That can go either way. He can either come off this flex screen or he can come off this pin down. He chooses the pin down, gets an open elbow look or free throw line look. Same option again with a post in the middle. Post a big at the post. Looking for this, they'll come up to an early step up to a ghost screen, open three. Strong, which is an elbow action that Golden State runs, that is predicated off that big. That big at the elbow has all the control. Sometimes they'll call, the option. Sometimes they won't. It's based on where that player is looking, and depending on where he looks, it activates what side. So if he's looking over here, he's activating this side, which means that double down is coming. Point guard also has the opportunity to middle cut, post up here, or he can take a look at this side, forego it, and allow that action to happen at the same time as he turns and activates this side, which would then issue a pitch and pick or a DHO opportunity. Okay. So rip to a double down, which is almost like thumb, sort of the same setup as thumb. A deception on many switching defenses, allowing them to look both ways. And we get a matchup we like. Aaron Harrison does a good job of breaking that paint to get a good to great shot. UCLA away. UCLA cut again with Marcus in that logo area where we like him to be. We're gonna set an away screen because this David Stockton is a shooter and he's ball side. He's not gonna clog it up because he can shoot. So that guy has to stay honest. One player away, allowing for a double down for our shooter to curl. Same idea here. We're gonna watch Aaron Harrison here. He's gonna curl, and we know they're gonna switch. So Aaron Harrison's gonna find Jakar's man, and curl on his man, which allows Jakar to curl right back behind him. Again, this away action is this double down away, very popular. Same idea. This deception play, this pitch and hand back and flip allows switching defenses to get stuck in the mud a little bit. We hit him. We would like to have this screen. As soon as he flips it, we would like to have the screen now. Jack Cooley's a little bit off, just a little bit too much. We would like it now, but nonetheless, we still get that backdoor on strong side island. Away post get. Same idea of having a shooter on the strong side wing with our guard or any type of playmaking guard in that post. We're going to go get our shooter for a shot. This one's very, very common in college. A dribble set. Point guard gets out. It's a side ball screen to that Maccabi action for a DHO. Swing the opposite side for a step up. This one allows for continuous motion. It can go forever. You can have that continuously going. A great offensive play. We did the same type of thing, but we allowed our guy to go through, and we wanted it in this logo area because this was more of a threat for us than having it on the side over here, right? So having it on the side here in this logo area puts pressure on that 5-man, that drop man, because he can't be in too much of a drop underneath the basket or else he's going to be put in no man's land. So we want him, because he's in a drop, we want him in that logo area, so he has to be up a little bit, puts a little bit of daylight, and he's going to have to do something. Putting pressure on that dropping 5-man makes him do something. He decides to fall back for the roll, and we have a nice open floater. Clap action is something that we use on another low plug, something that I love to do, and it might be hard to do in college just a little bit, just because you're allowed to do a moving screen in the NBA, arguably. So here's this clap action. So we're going to watch Dio here. Dio is going to set a good screen, get some contact. Key is Josh Higgins has to keep his man Marcus Teague on his back. If he keeps his man on his back, it's now a 2-on-1 opportunity. Dio is then going to screen or seal as if he's going to get the ball, which is going to create an open opportunity for a layup. I'll show some more options here. Again, with this clap action, We'll deceive it here. Boom, right to this pick and roll. Marcus got to keep him on his backside. Essentially, this would be a moving pick. We can also argue that if they call it a moving pick, next time we'll have him turn around and seal for the ball, and then you can say that he's sealing for the ball. As long as he doesn't displace this defender, you can make an argument that it's not a moving screen. But again, Marcus is just going to shoot right over the top, right over his own guy. He's just going to shoot right over his own guy.
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah.
On a lot of these ball screen actions, I'm looking at the footwork of the screener. Yeah, I mean, I see it. Sometimes they're kind of just forward pivoting, like right into a rim run, and other times they're reverse pivoting. You know, is there a certain way that you teach? Is there a rhyme or reason to the way you guys do that? I know you mentioned, is that what the Amari roll was earlier that you talked about?
Yeah. So we'll practice both. It depends on what type of play it is. Some plays, if it's an uphill play or a higher ball screen, we'll kind of teach that Amari roll to stop that player's momentum, or to keep that player's momentum. Whereas instead of that reverse pivot, that more traditional way is more of a seal, and it'll stop their momentum for a lob or things like that. So if we see a lob opportunity, they'll more likely do an Amari roll compared to a traditional stop, 2 foot stop and pivot, but reverse pivot.
Gotcha.
Good question. But yeah, we practice both, and we've had some really good bigs, luckily, and it's kind of preference too. You know, if it's quicker for them to put pressure on the rim to do an Amari roll than it is to pivot and reverse pivot, or set the pick and reverse pivot. We want to put as much foul pressure on the rim as possible. So getting them to the rim has been our biggest thing. So sometimes guys will prefer to have that Amari roll rather than a seal. Again, with this clap action, same idea. Kyle Guy is going to keep his man on his back, shoot right over Eric Mika. Same Avery angle. We would like this Avery angle to probably be, see if I can do this here. Probably be here, right? And probably right about here. Eric Mika will just have to get behind his man. That way he's allowed to go downhill. Nonetheless, we get this same result of a clap action. If that big wants to continue to be in a low plug, we're going to shoot right over on top of our man. And then a little bit of player development, just a little quick PowerPoint, just something.
Kyle, before you get into that,
yeah.
I think Peter has a question for you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, Kyle. I just had a question because I grew up in Minnesota, so I actually watched Coach Barton play for a season, and I just remember he had kind of a post game, correct?
Yeah. He'll tell you he has everything.
And I was just wondering how much his game and experiences, because I noticed that you guys like to run that point guard to that logo spot a lot to see the open floor.
Yep.
To get that ball screen. Just how much have you seen, like, getting to know him, his personality, his influence, and just talk more about how he's influenced your offense and just you as a coach.
Yeah, I think X's and O's, I learned everything from him, and like the things that he sees and the different deceptions that he puts on different types of ATOs that I don't even see firsthand. I think it's going this way, but he really has something going on 3 actions later, going to the opposite side. It's hard to explain even like what I've really learned, because it's just, you're just around that type of vision that he has, and I don't know if you can really teach it. It's just you've got to be there, but I think it has a huge impact on the players and our point guards especially. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, man.
Kyle, I got a question for you too. First of all, good stuff, man. I've already messaged Steve. Hopefully we get to see this later on YouTube, but
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just awesome. No, but I wanted to ask you about like for the clap, especially the clap action, like with your ball handlers, right? Like so putting in jail, like I know we talk about that a lot. We try to teach it, we try to teach them how to slow down. Like, is that like a field thing for guys at your level, or like what are your teaching concepts with that?
Yeah, it's you mean keeping our guys on their back?
Yeah, like are you like what are you saying to them? Like just like, all right, like if you were to say like this is the method, like you know, like versus just put them on your back, you know?
Right. Let me see if I can talk you through one of these.
Yeah, because we talk about putting them in jail all the time and snaking,
Right.
and we do
Snaking, you're
that.
right.
And, yeah, right. And some of them are better than others, but I think for me, like one of the things that we've been saying is like if you're gonna snake a ball screen because the D's going over, you gotta tap like your post defender's leg so they know like I'm snaking. Right?
Exactly. So right here, like our guys are really good on like whenever we're gonna clap, we want to snake. So our posts already know they're gonna snake, and so we're gonna come hip to hip here, and we're gonna change our speed. So as soon as we come off, we're gonna come off with pace. But as soon as we get to here, we're gonna change our pace and we're gonna stop. We're gonna make that guy go behind us or go around us. Big is gonna wait a little bit to allow that guy to get behind, because if the big gets out too quick, he can then recover, you know what I mean, and be on his side. But we want him to be on the backside. So as soon as there's a little bit of a pause, that allows that guy to keep him on his backside. And then as soon as he moves, as soon as Eric Mika moves here, he should move laterally. Kyle Guy's gonna move laterally to cut him off to keep him on that backside. Yeah. Right. And then that's kind of what we teach is just change of pace. And as soon as you, it's kind of you're on a string. You and the big are on a string.
Yeah.
And so as soon as that pace comes up, you're coming off with pace and you stop. That big's kind of just got to have a feel, and it's from practicing over and over and over again about having that feel of noticing when that guard goes over and when he thinks he's fine to clear out, and when he has to stay there a little bit longer just to hold up that pick.
Yeah. No, I like that too, because like we set a lot of step ups, and I'm like, our bigs, they just sometimes they don't slow down because they don't know the snake's happening. So I'm like, I like that this is a predetermined. We are snaking because we made the D go over, right? Like, I think that might help our kids, like versus just make a read, right? Like sometimes it's so ambiguous. It's like whatever, like all the options of the world, which I think freezes our kids sometimes when we're trying to teach them. So
exactly. And when they go under, if they do go under and they spin, they do that spin, where they go under. We like that even better because we're gonna set another screen. We're gonna twist it and we're gonna get a rescreen there, and that screen's gonna get closer and closer to the basket. Exactly. And so that to the point where they're gonna be right where we want them anyway. They're gonna have to go over at some point, which and then entail if we do everything correctly, we'll have them on our back and we'll have a clap action or something wide open.
Good stuff. Yeah, no, good. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Coach, what do you use for your editing software?
This is Sports Code here. So I use Sports Code. Or let me back up. I got clips off of Synergy and my old brick I have as well of old game film. Got some clips, transcoded them into Sports Code. Sports Code is what I do to edit the timing. But to do some of these little effects here.
Yeah, like the purple silhouette and the.
Yeah. So that one's called Coach Paint. That's a something we use in the league. For
what
our
is
stuff,
the software?
Coach Paint. It's down here. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for showing you this, but who cares? It's something that people don't even have. Like I didn't know about it until I was in the league. Like I don't know why they don't teach you this stuff, but
is that downloadable?
It's like honestly, it's just like Sports Code where it's like $10,000 a year to use or something like that. It's some crazy ridiculous number, but yeah, again, here you can add all these different, different things, and you can make it motion and make it move with a guy and whatever. But so that's what we use. And the Sacramento Kings will put like a couple clips like that and loop them in the kitchen area. So when the guys are eating, they'll see good points of last game, different points of emphasis, or what we're going to work on today at practice, and here's some game film to back it up, and add title slides and all that stuff. So just another cool way to present film. Nerdy, I guess. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, I'm going to go quickly on some of this player development stuff. Coach Megan hit a lot of it on the nose, and just stuff I've learned over the last 4 years. Just very surface level, and I could talk again for a long time about this stuff, but some of the big three things that we talk about in Stockton and Reno were communication, documentation, and teach, train, and compete. So with communication, in the G League, you're gonna get a lot of personalities. You're gonna have a lot of guys that are hearing different things from their agents and hearing different things from different coaches, past coaches, parents, friends. You got to deal with a lot of personalities and guys that have been in the league. They're coming back. They want to get up out of the league. They think they're better than the G League and they deserve something. But understanding the player and making a life connection for the longevity of that relationship is something that I learned in player development. Kind of goes overlooked some places because guys just want to really hone in on their basketball skills and really want to get down to that. But at the G League level, you got to deal with so many personalities and different things that are going to be thrown at you. You gotta understand that player, how they are. So making a life connection, doing your research as a coach. Like for us in Stockton, we've got, I think, like 4 guys we each assigned to, and those are our player development guys, and we're with them the whole way. So we're with them. We talk with them. That if they have an issue, they come to us, and we don't have to tell the head coach. This is something that's just kind of between us and the assistant coach or assistant coaches and the player, to kind of create that boundary to where they feel at home and they can tell us, they can vent to somebody. So a player might go, excuse my French, but a player might go, coach, this practice is bullshit. It's taking forever. Or why is coach being so anal on this? Well, cool. I get it. I've been there. I feel you. It's long for me too. So, what are we going to do? We're either going to get through it or we're going to just complain about it. But having that one-on-one relationship where you can be a soundboard for somebody and listen off for them, I think that allows them to really dive in and really get better as a player. Because, you could take the horse to the water, but if the horse don't want to drink, that means nothing. So understanding that life connection and being a soundboard and being there for that player means more in the long run and will pay dividends down the road. And for young coaches, establishing the line, make sure you connect with the players, and you will be able to connect with the players. But I was a video coordinator at 22 and then assistant coach at 23 in the G League, my 2 years of professional basketball. And I went to school with one of the kids that was on our team. I went to Oklahoma with one of the players on our team. So defining that line of, no, I'm not going to party with you. I'm going to coach now. There has to be that line, and establishing that line early and often. Nothing happened, but establishing that line early and often, letting it known that this is business, and I'm here to get you better is something that I think a lot of young coaches kind of overlook, and they get starstruck in the pros, and unfortunately some bad stuff goes on and happens. But save yourself and establish that line early. Documentation. So record your drills, record your reps and score, and no such thing as too much information, and we're taught, we do a lot of drills at practice that involve a little nuances and little tweaks, but we're documenting all of that because we want to make sure that we're covering our ass in case Vladi calls and Vladi's like, well, why isn't Buddy Hield shooting better if he's taking threes all the time at practice? Like, what are you guys putting him through? Or are you guys even putting him through any type of, on-ball screens to make his on-ball screening better? So we do stuff. We'll document all that. Tyler Gatlin, one of our assistant coaches, and Ty Ellis made a great platform for us. And this is our document that we contribute to every day post-practice. So look something like this. So we sit down with the player preseason or whenever we get them, and we're going to talk about their strengths. And we're more of a soundboard in that time. So, whatever they think their strengths are, we may input a couple things, but we kind of want to hear what they think for their strengths, as well as their goals. Same idea as if you could take the horse to the water, but if I don't want to drink, it's not going to drink. Like, if they don't understand what they need to get better at and they're not committed to it, it does nothing for me to say, well, you can't, we need to work on your left hand. But if they think they're fine with the left hand, what are they going to say? They're not going to do it. Like, they make me more, they're going to make more money than me. They can literally say, screw you, coach. Like, I'm not doing that. So I'm going to do everything else but that. You want me to get better at that, but I don't. So having that type of relationship where you can talk about that stuff and understanding where they think they are at and where they need to get better at, and see if where things come together and where you can make some, you can give and take in here with these goals throughout the season is huge, because having a big picture and knowing your big picture is huge. And then having a game plan. Again, we're going to make sure that we put these guys in these opportunities to get better at them. So with all these things they want to get better at, we're going to make sure we have a game plan for their development going forward. And then we're going to document throughout the year. So every 5 games, we're going to have an update as a team and as an individual player. So as a team, we're going to sit down in our film room. We're going to talk about these stats, like, where were we in our team overview? Where are we on the points per game scale? Where are we on the points given? And where are we on the blocks per game and things like that? Little, where are we statistically? Oh, we're 28th in league in free throw shooting. Well, why is that through 5 games, right? And then we'll continue to work on areas of development. We'll reassess our practice plans and our coaching plans to kind of cater toward those things that we're lacking in throughout those 5 games. And we'll continue to do that at an individual scale, where these players that we're assigned to as assistant coaches. So I have my 4 guys as well. I'll sit down with them individually, and we'll talk about their 5-game update and, where they lacked in those 5 games and why we think that happened and how we're going to fix it going forward in a 50-game season. So same thing goes on every 5 games. Little notes too that help as well, miss 5 games while with Team USA, just little things that'll, contribute to how we're doing our job and why we need to cover our butt, when that time comes. Through half the season, everything like that. And then here we go with daily activities. We're going to document all of our practice plans and how it helped that player individually. So, we may put, again, that 8-on-3 drill or any type of drill, but we're gonna bring it down to a scale as to why that's going to help that individual player, because based on what we talked about up here in the strengths and the areas of development, we're going to talk about how we're attacking that and why we're helping that player out in that area. We're going to do that throughout the entire year, going forward with game days and practice days. So we have all this documentation down. So, when they want to see, or when their agent wants to see, well, how is our player getting better and why isn't he getting better? Well, we can be like, well, this is everything we've done, and it's beyond us now. We've put them in an opportunity to get better. And so because you deal with agents, you deal with stuff like that in the G League and all these external factors. And then teach, train, compete. Teach, train, and compete is big for us in Stockton. Coach Ty Ellis put that in, and we follow it on a daily basis on any type of drill or anything we're going to teach. So teach the concept, especially the why. I love that Coach had talked about, teaching the why, because that's huge. When you got these pro players who played for Coach K, played for Coach Calipari, and all these big name coaches, and you got a 5'4" Asian kid from Sunnyvale, California, who ain't played a lick of college basketball or been on a roster, trying to tell him what to do, he has every right to say, well, I'm not doing that. So, it's up to us as coaches to make sure that we understand why, and make sure they understand why they're doing this to get better. So we're going to teach the concept, and then we're going to train the concept versus no defense. So understanding that we really pinpoint on those little details, footwork, like she talked about, anything on a 5-on-0 type of scale. And then we'll compete at the concept, whether that's any type of competition right then and there, right after that train session, or we may go right at it, compete at it later on. So we may, if we're doing rip throughs or something, we may play a game to 11 after, at the end of practice, and rip throughs will be an extra point, a bonus point, or, whatever we taught, whatever our focus of the teach, train, and compete was that day, we would attack that in the competition later on. And then last but not least, some bonus Rico-isms. So Rico Hines, like a mentor to me and him, he was with me my first 3 years in the G League, and I learned everything I know from player development from him. And he's taught, guys like Kevin Durant, he's a player development guy for Pascal Siakam, who just won Most Improved. So, he's got a resume, and his big things that are very, he's got a million things that he says, but these are some of the big ones. Utilize time and score. understanding that there's different types of pressures, and you have to try and simulate those pressures as much as possible on a one-on-one workout type of scale. So if it's you and him, making sure you document those scores and making sure he beats those scores all the time, utilizing time. So maybe it's instead of a number of makes you've got to get in one spot, you utilize a time. You say, okay, you have 30 seconds for how many makes there. In total, I need 40 makes or something like that. So you're adding a pressure, an external pressure from a time perspective. Diversifying yourself, but keeping a game like. He's big on anti-cone. He hates cone stuff, and that's kind of how I've been now too. Ever since I've been in the G League, it's never been cones. There's not one cone. Our staff doesn't own a cone. Even chairs. A chair may be out there if you have to do cardio to run around before your shot or something, or as a screen, but it'll never be something you're going to cross over in front of, or never going to be a dummy defender. Because you got to keep everything game-like. The best way to simulate a game is to be, in a game. And then, like I said earlier, get to the other side. A lot of these players are going to want to quit on you in these drills. They're going to want to try and count themselves out before they even know that they can get there. If they're trying to get 10 makes and they're at 8 and they're stuck, you got to talk to them. Sometimes you got to talk to them and tell them, it's grass is greener on the other side, and that communication is huge. So understanding that getting to the other side is better for everybody. And then knowing your big picture. This is his mantra. Like knowing your big picture, knowing your big goal, your end goal, and how these little things will continue to progress you toward that big goal. So, if the player is tripping about something going on at practice, and he hates this one drill, well, remember your big picture. Your big picture is to get to the NBA. If you don't do this little stuff here, how can you expect to get to the NBA? Right. So just all those, just keeping that idea of knowing your big picture in the mind of a player will help, at least in my understanding from learning from Rico. But that's about it. Hopefully y'all didn't fall asleep, but that's about it from me.
Questions for Kyle from anybody? I'll go first, Kyle.
Yeah.
So, the G League is a lot about player development, right? That's probably
Right.
the main purpose of that. Obviously the NBA affiliate is focused on that as well. How do you kind of balance, helping players develop, expand their game, work on their weaknesses, and kind of balance that with, trying to win games, you know what I mean, and helping them with their strengths and all of that? How do you kind of manage that situation?
I think that's a $1 million question for the G League. I think, because everybody wants to get out. Everybody wants to get to the NBA, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win games, right? Because, if guys want to just get their stats and drop 30, that doesn't mean you're going to get a dub. So for us, we make it known from the get-go. If you're here to collect your stats and you're here to be selfish, then we don't want you a part of our organization. We make that known because we've made the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years, and we want to continue that. It's a teeter-totter type of business because, you may lose your best player at any point in time in the season, and, you're going to have to make it work. But at the same time, you got to have a core group of guys that are invested in that team's success. And we also harp on the idea that, individual success and individual togetherness and playing as a team will then yield wins in the long run. And so we've set a goal at 30 and 20. 30 and 20 sounds kind of generous because, you want 20 wins in a 50-game season. Yes and no, but 30 wins has also yielded us a playoff berth every single year. So if we can win 3 games out of every 5, and we keep that track every 5 games, we take that as a win as well. But developing our guys and talking to our guys and making sure they have that same mindset of team first, and unselfishness, and understanding that the stats are going to come. Someone's going to be our leading scorer. Someone's going to be, and most likely the leading scorer always leaves the team at some point in the season. Then someone else is going to get another opportunity. So understanding that idea of staying hungry too, and staying ready, and it's progression and success by osmosis, as Coach Demar would say. High tides rise all ship. He would be happy that I said that.
How do you get the guys that don't, that don't get call ups? Like how are they, day to day, game to game, like, if they're not getting their numbers or meeting certain markers, not they're not making those markers necessarily to get that call up, but they're still, contributing, they're still playing well, they're consistent at what they do. But how do you kind of manage those types of guys?
Same idea of talking about their big picture, and this year may not be it. And knowing that a professional career, you want longevity, not short term. You want to make money over the long term and not just have a 2-year career. So, keeping them engaged in that aspect of continuing to work hard every single day and chip away at your goal. Good things happen to good people. We're a big proponent on that, and just making sure they keep their heads on straight, because like you said, it's so easy for them to veer off and be well, screw this. I'm not even going to call up this year. What's the point? I can go overseas and whatever. Yeah, but maybe if you play a little bit better and we get you a little bit better, you may have a better offer overseas somewhere else. So stick with us and hang on, and we'll get you something better, and it looks better. And so just staying ready. But things happen in the G League. We got this Team USA window where they take guys from us. Max was 2 guys. We had 3 guys taken from our team. I think our roster was at 7 at one point because we had some injuries. We didn't have 2 ways, which put us at 10, and then 3 guys got called up because 2 were USA and 1 was Puerto Rico. So we had 7 guys. So that 11 and 12th man are now getting heavy minutes for us. So it'll happen, and you just got to stay positive with them and just stick with them through the storm and just weather it.
Now, do the Stockton Kings and the Sacramento Kings, do you guys run the same stuff so that way there's fluidity with call ups and stuff like that, or is it more just a system with different wrinkles and stuff like that?
Yeah, like we'll run a core base of stuff that's Sacramento, but we'll also have they also are great at giving us freedom and allowing us to try our stuff as well. But that is also with the understanding that we're going to probably have to try some stuff that they don't want to try up there yet. So we've tried different type of defensive schemes, and we've done some crazy ones over this past year, but all as a lab rat for them. But yes, we do a lot of stuff that they run. But it's every league, every team is different. Like I think it has to do with the head coach in the G League or in the NBA as well. Like my first 3 seasons, we were under Coach Dave Yeager, and I never saw the dude. We never had any contact, and so we kind of got to run whatever we wanted. So we never really ran too much of Sacramento stuff. But this past year with Coach Luke Walton and how heavy he is on the G League, we run a lot of their stuff.
Danny Lee, looks like you have a question. Go ahead and ask it.
Hey, Coach, can you talk more about how you got your start? You didn't have college experience. How did you get a coach to take you on board and prove your value?
Yeah, a lot of it's good luck and timing. I was with the Warriors as an intern in analytics as a game day sports view operator. Decided I didn't want to go there. I'd gotten 2 rings with them, and then went through their 73-9 season. And we got these rings, but I didn't feel involved. I didn't feel like I had a part in it. So I was like, well, screw that. I'm not going to go back this next year. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get out and do something, and be a part of something myself, and actually have a hand in something on the basketball side. And so went to summer league that year for the first year. Had no money. I was going to school. I went to school at Oklahoma at the time. Transferred back mid-year during their 73-9 season to take the analytics position halfway through as an intern. Only a game day intern too, so I was only working on game days. But I felt like it was the right opportunity for me, and it was going to help me step into the right direction. I had no money. Told my mom, I'm going to go to Vegas. She said, okay, how are you going to get there? And I said, well, I don't know. But I'm going to get there. I got to. Like, I want to work in basketball. I got to. And she said, well, I don't know. I don't have any money for you. Like, I live in the Silicon Valley, but my parents were here before the whole, technology boom. So they weren't here because of that. So I opened up a credit card, told my mom I was going to do it. She said it was crazy. Told me not to do it. I told my dad. Dad told me not to do it. They were really mad at me for a while because I had maxed it out on, it was my first credit card. So I had like 2,500 max, I think, on it. And so I used it on a Southwest flight, which was expensive for Vegas because I decided to go last minute. Probably like $400 go from San Jose, California to Vegas. I'm staying at the cheapest hotel, like Lucky Sevens or Silver Sevens or something like that, which is like a couple miles away from Vegas. And I'm like, cool, I'll just walk there. My dumbass didn't think that there was gonna be heat, like how crazy it is in Vegas. So I'm walking every day. By the time I get to the gym, I'm drenched in sweat. So I'm setting up meetings, cold emailing, using LinkedIn, using regular email to meet any type of scout, any type of video guy, and anyone that wants to give me their time, just ask for advice. I feel like everybody can give some advice at some point. So I'm not asking for a job. I'm just asking for advice on what they would do in my position and what helped them get successful and yada, yada. I ended up bringing 2 shirts, 2 polos, almost 3 polos every day because I would have to walk there, walk back. I'm drenched. Don't want to look like I'm crazy. I would buy a ticket to the gym every single day. I'm packing Nutri-Grain bars. I'm eating like a college kid, not going out, doing any of that stuff. Just to Thomas and Mack and back, staying there from the first game all the way to the last game. And I think the hunger really set when I met with the Cleveland Cavaliers video guy, and he was like, "Oh, like, what's your goal?" And I was like, honestly, I think my overall goal is to be a GM in the NBA, but I think a realistic, short-term goal is to be in the video room and learn that side of things. And he pretty much told me, he looked down. I remember, and I'll never forget this day. He looked down on me and said, "Well, you know what? I just want to let you know that our video guy is 7 foot and 6'8". We got 2 of them, and they played in college. They played in D1, and I think it'd probably be best for you, in my opinion, to find a new career." I said, "Well, it's probably because I'm wearing a Golden State Warriors logo and we kicked your ass that year. But here, thank you very much." I said, "Thank you, appreciate your time." And so I left, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I get it. All this stuff is against me. I already spent $2,500. I might as well try and do something, try and get there somehow. But I'm not going to stop because this dude tells me not to do it. And so, long story short, I'm cold emailing people around the league, and I meet Anthony McClish, who is now our GM in Stockton, but he was a assistant GM at the time. Built a relationship with him. Because I was in San Jose, Sacramento's up the street, probably about 2 hours. So there was a Reno Bighorns tryout in Sacramento. I emailed them, said, "Hey, you guys need a ball boy? You guys need someone that can, clean up the sweat, whatever you want." He said, "Yeah, you can come by. I don't think we have anything for you to do, but if you want to come by, it'd be nice to meet you in person and whatever." So I go there. Next thing you know, I'm grabbing towels. I'm on my hands and knees wiping sweat for dudes that probably didn't play in middle school. Like it was a G League tryout, you know what I mean? And I just sacrificing myself to make sure they knew that I was all in. And I was not going back to Golden State. I don't care what it was. I'm not going back to Golden State, be an intern again. No shot. And basketball guys worked in my favor. And the next day, it was a 2-day camp. The second day, the basketball operations director had left for an NBA opportunity, and then the video guy left that same day as well for an NBA opportunity. So it opened up 2 spots. I had emailed I talked to McClish the next day, and he said, "You know what? I'm gonna interview you right now, and then we'll see how it goes." Next day, get the job as director of basketball operations, and I'd grown from there and was gonna be the video guy or wasn't gonna be the video guy. I was gonna interview people for the video spot. Get a call from the GM again saying, "Hey, Sacramento we want to cut our budget a little bit. So I know you have some experience with sports code, and hopefully you can take it on." I said, "Hell yeah, I'll take it on." And I didn't have no experience with sports code. I had maybe a week. I used a little free trial that sports code gave. I didn't know a dang thing. I'm being dead serious. I didn't know a dang thing. I had to teach myself everything. If a GM tells you, "Hey, can you take on the video spot?" Hell yeah. 3 days ago, I was going back to Golden State that I didn't want to go, right? And so I screw it. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it on." Being the director of basketball operations my first year, and the head video coordinator, and doing school online full time was I think, I'm not even kidding. On average, I probably got 4 hours of sleep a night, if maybe 3. And it was not healthy for me, and I, whatever, but the grind is real and you got to make it work. You got so many things going against you, and, not playing in college and things like that. It is what it is. I mean, what am I going to do? Go back and play? But I can't. I'm not as good as them, and I'm not tall. I'm 5'4". I wasn't gifted that height, but I got a brain and I got a computer. So I know I can do video stuff. I didn't know you had to be 7 foot, sit at a computer, break down film. So I'm doing that now. And, I'm trying to use my brain and learn as much as I can, using all these Zoom platforms and using this downtime to learn and get my brain up. My knowledge is key for me, because if I don't have that, I don't have the physical. I don't pass the eye test in that way. So that's just real talk, that I just got to work harder than the next person. That's for sure. And just be a step ahead. I think I had the years coming out of, I worked for Golden State when I was 18. So I had some years in the NBA, but I was on the basketball operations side. So it doesn't really count on the basketball side, but I used it and just try to be a step ahead of everybody else. And doing online school was my way of trying to stay ahead, because I was able to travel and be a part of an NBA organization or G League organization at the same time of doing school full time.
Coach,
Sorry, that was forever. That took forever.
Sorry. How did you get started in analytics?
I was a youth camp coach for Golden State, doing their summer camps. Just a everyday camp coach, and then I got to know the directors really well there. And I didn't have any analytical background. The directors were just like, hey, I know you want to work in sports or basketball. There's a interview for a analytics intern. Are you interested? Hell yeah, I'm interested. I'll take it. I'll do it. Interviewed. I got the spot, thankfully, and then just learned everything on the spot. Again, I had no analytical background, but it was using their program called SportsView, which is a NBA program that tracks the players and tells you how fast they run, how many miles they run, using these high cameras up in the arenas. So it wasn't rocket science, but I had no analytical background or anything like that, if that's your question.
Any last questions for Kyle?
Kyle, just what would you say is, you took every opportunity that came your way. What would you say was your biggest learning curve?
I think as soon as I had my first day, on the job as a video coordinator, I didn't know what I was getting into. I think you're talking about what I struggled with and where my learning curve was the worst. That was probably it. I didn't know NBA has its own language, and I'm coming from, I didn't work in college, so I don't know these terms. Said it. I forget. There's something, the pistol action. I had to do a scout my first year in Toronto at the G League showcase. Players are making fun of me because I was so nervous. It was my first scout ever. Coach is trying to, help me out. Doing my scout, I didn't know a dang pistol action. I drew it on a hotel piece of paper, all the actions at one time. So I'm telling our guys to go here, 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 and it's completely wrong. And I go, honestly, coach, I don't know what's going on. I don't even know what's going on. But then I look back at it a year later, and it was a freaking pistol action. It was just pistol. But I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what there's something else. There's different types of basic plays. You got floppy action. I didn't know what floppy action was. Just basic things that guys definitely probably know, and I had no idea. But I had all that learning curve to learn that language and learn sports code, learn basketball operations and the office side of everything. So, but it was the best thing for me, because now I got the full view, the full 360 view on how everything works.
Brian Rosario, saw you had a follow up.
I appreciate this. I'm on the road, so I apologize. But I just want to know if you've reconnected with that guy from the Cavs organization and what he thinks about where you are now.
No, I have not reconnected with him, and I don't plan on reconnecting with him. I honestly don't remember his name. I deleted that. My personal email that was back then, I deleted it. So I don't even remember the guy's name that I connected with. But, even if I did, I would hold on to it and wait until I'm in the league, and then I'm shaking his hand. Hey, can I get your game film? Thanks, appreciate it. But
that's awesome. good for you.
I'm just more of a humble hustle, and I'm not going to say anything to him if I ever do see him, or if I ever remember his name. But yeah, like I do video work for Sacramento as well, but that's not enough for me. Like, I want to be somewhere where then I can look him straight eye to eye and be like, hey, how you doing? We're equal now.
One more, being where you are now, initially said you wanted to be a GM. Is that still one of your goals to get there?
No, I mean, honestly, no. Like, I was the director of basketball operations because that's what I thought. I thought I wanted to be on the GM side, on the office side, and McClish, and with everything that I was blessed with, because they didn't have a video coordinator, I was pushed into that position. And if I wasn't pushed into that position, I would probably be stuck on the office side right now. And so he thought I wanted to be a GM, so he put me in the director of basketball operations role. But once I touched the video stuff, I found that on court, having hands-on experience and having relationship with the guys, and putting the work in, that to me was more satisfying than anything. So I'm probably go more of the coaching role. I think a realistic goal for myself would be a associate head coach in the NBA. I'm not big on head coaches. I don't need the spotlight, or I don't want to be a head coach, to be honest. Like, I just want to be a really freaking good assistant coach, one that a head coach can depend on. And just in that regard, he can have all the interviews and have the limelight and everything. I don't care. I just want to help a team win and win a championship, and do everything I can from an assistant role.
Last call on questions for Kyle. Nope. All right, well, Kyle, man, thanks for your time. Loved your story. Think it's super relevant, especially for everyone in this chat. It's no secret. Not a ton of us have a decorated playing career. To always kind of fall back on for credibility. And just hearing your story and knowing that it can be done is definitely inspiring for all of us. So I appreciate that, man. We appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And if you do have a playing career and you do have some sort of resume, you're one step ahead of me. So use that. And if you don't, neither did I. So you can do it too. So don't be discouraged.
But before we wrap up, I know Steve has a couple of announcements to make.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I just want to say thank you, Kyle and Coach Griffith, for presenting today. It was awesome. I mean, this is great. We can go on and on. Definitely. And Colleen will like me saying this too, is like, you don't have a chip on your shoulder. You have a boulder on your shoulder too. And,
right.
And I'm with you. I'm with you 100% too. So thank you so much, Kyle. Really means a lot. And you guys for listening, staying on. Next week, it's going to be great. Another great week, man. I feel like we've been having some great speakers every week. And next week, we're going to have Brian Rosario from Pepperdine and Mike McPile. You guys know Mike. He's going to be on next week as well. And so feel free to, like I said, put it on your social media, talk to people, invite people. And we want to make sure we keep this rolling. And it'll be on YouTube maybe in a couple of days or so. Oh, thank you, Garrett, for all the work he does. Garrett's always behind the scenes, but thank you, Garrett, for putting up with us and doing all this Zoom calls and the YouTube stuff for us. So thank you. Appreciate you guys, your time. Kyle again, Megan, thank you so much again. Matt, Anthony, thank you for moderating. Appreciate you guys and your support, and looking forward to you guys next week. All right. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Yep. Take care, guys.
That's right. I like that. There you go. Starting up next week.